Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Friday, the 17th of July, 2026. You're watching Morning Brew with Graham Hughes. I'm Graham Hughes. Hello. How are you doing this morning? I hope you're all fit and well. Just legged it downstairs to start the show. I think I got just about on time. That's good. Big shout out to Simon Smith in the chat. We've also got Lost from the Missionary and SG. From the start, we've got Mystique. Tina Jones in there as well. And Witchy Wisdom, hello. And Yuri and Sarah, hello. And Francis, hello. If you'd like to join our friendly friends in the friendly chat, hit the friendly subscribe button. But remember, be friendly. Don't be horrible. Don't call people names in the chat. You can call Nigel Farage names. I don't give a fuck. You can call Trump names. Even if you want, you can call Starmer or Burnham names. I don't mind. But just not me. And not the other people in the chat. Okay, that's the rules. That's the rules, or you will be muted and booted. Well, actually, I say muted and booted. Actually, you'll just be muted, so you'll be able to watch what's going on, but you won't be able to take part like a eunuch at an orgy. Okay, so we're going to be talking about what's going on in the world today, and then we'll have a look at the newspapers, and we'll have a bit of bants, and we might go off on a random tangent about space travel, renewable energy or religion. I don't know. Whatever takes your fancy. But if you want to join the chat, you can obviously skewer the conversation in a direction towards things that you would like to talk about. Hurrah! Can I call Mahmood names, says Universe? Yeah, I guess so. I just nothing that might, trigger the sensors on here. All right? Anyway, Andy Burnham, King of the North. King of the North. So Andy Burnham is going to be appointed, coronated, the leader of the Labour Party, 12 o'clock today. There's going to be a vote in the NEC, and MPs have to say who they want to be their leader, and as over 350 of the 400 or so Labour MPs have said we want Andy, it's a bit overwhelming, and it looks like he's backed by the majority of unions that support Labour as well. So, that's done and dusted. Your Facebook page saying, I don't want him to be leader, I don't like him, isn't going to get anywhere now. He is going to be the Labour leader, and also he's going to be Prime Minister, but that's not going to happen until Monday. Okay, so Starmer still has the weekend to run around doing prime ministerial things. Like, I don't know, appointing people to the House of Lords. But we'll get into that in a moment. But first of all, I'm going to just realise I should probably stop this from moving because it's messing up my CPU. There you go. Right, that's there. My CPU's down to 20% now. It's at 30%. There you go. I'm a communist, not a prick, says Universe. Well, some might say those two things are not necessarily opposites, but not me, obviously. Liz Truss addresses half-empty hall at the UK CPAC debacle. Great news, the wheels are falling off the far-right machine. It was just so embarrassing. She just sounds so thick. She just sounds like a petulant little girl who didn't get to, get a merit badge or be head girl. Do you know what I mean? She's like that failed head girl energy of, why wasn't I head girl? I should have been head girl. And I know you might think that's a bit sexist, me saying it that way, but, if it was a bloke, I'd be saying the same thing about him being thick as fucking pig shit. But, she genuinely is. Cecil demented. And this isn't something that's happened, later in life. I know she used to be a Lib Dem, didn't she? And then she moved parties or whatever. But, and she was against Brexit, and now she's for Brexit, whatever. Right, but, this goes before the Brexit vote, where she was standing up in front of a crowd of people and going, pork markets! Or when she was talking about cheese and saying that we import more cheese than we export or something, and she went, that is a disgrace! I'm just thinking, what the fuck? There's just nothing there. There's just nothing. I don't know if she was born that way. I don't know if she was kicked in the head by a horse. There's a part of me that almost feels sorry for her. But then I'm reminded of what she did to our economy in her 48 days of fucking terror that she was the Prime Minister. And then she went and hid under a under a table, and Rishi Sunak took over, and then at the time, Angela Rayner and Andy Burnham said you should have a general election now because you're fucking around here with the leaders, right? I don't think they said that after Liz Truss got elected. I think they said that after Liz Truss got defenestrated, and they put Rishi Sunak, who was the loser in the leadership competition, in place as our prime minister. And do you know who was allowed to vote in that election? Overseas people who I'm not going to say foreigners because they might not have been. They might be British people that live overseas. But yeah, foreigners, I guess. Foreigners, Russians, Thai people from Argentina could vote on who was going to be our next prime minister. If they were a friend of the Conservative Party or overseas friend of the Conservative Party, or whatever the fuck it was. It didn't sound too democratic to me anyway. Was pork markets her safe word? Oh, fucking hell, Yobi. Farage crying that Starmer didn't put anyone from Farage's gang in the Lords. I thought Farage was against the establishment. I mean, why should he put anyone from his gang in the House of Lords? It's ridiculous. Thanks very much, Sarah, for pointing that out, though. Tomorrow, the England players should unfurl a banner calling Infantino a corrupt criminal who sucks up to the White House dictator. How about that? He just sucks off the White House dictator. How about that? That'd be fucking brilliant. Infantino, the Trump's little bitch. Badenoch has a massive wide on for Burnham. She couldn't stop talking about his eyelashes. Oh my God. Knowing the history of Argentina after World War II, I can only assume they'll vote for Rupert Lowe. Indeed. I think we need one for when she speaks lost. I don't understand that. We think we need one for when she speaks. Oh, what a safe word. Just shout out the safe word. She's got to stop talking. She's got to stop whatever she's doing and put the utensils down. Anyway, so yeah, Labour will formally announce Andy Burnham as party leader at a special conference at noon today in central London. Keir Starmer will remain Prime Minister, as I said, until Monday. Burnham will then be invited to form a government and begin appointing ministers. Lucy Powell, Shabana Mahmood, and the outgoing Labour General Secretary Holly Ridley are scheduled to speak at the conference. Burnham is expected to describe his programme as unashamedly Labour. His stated priorities include spreading economic growth beyond London, increasing public control, and returning decision-making powers to communities. He's identified social care as an area in which he intends to spend significant political capital. And Burnham's father has Alzheimer's disease, giving the incoming Prime Minister direct family experience of the atrocious care system that we unhappy few who have to deal with this shit on a daily basis have to put up with. The care system in this country is absolutely fundamentally broken. It is ridiculous that if you get one ailment in your old age, you're looked after from cradle to the grave, essentially. Whereas if you get another one, dementia, Alzheimer's, you lose everything. You charge $2,000 a week until that's your house gone. Yeah, it's it's really grim. It's really grim, and I'm hoping that Andy Burnham makes good on his promises to bring in. He's talked about bringing in a national care service to run alongside the National Health Service, which I massively support. I think that is a fucking fantastic idea, and we should all be getting behind that. So a second Burnham speech is scheduled for 2:30 today. That's when I went to the doctor, isn't it? 2:30. 2:30. Anyway, so yeah, talking of addresses, my friends. Let's move off from the main topic of today. Donald Trump's address last night. Jesus Christ, what the fuck? Rambled on for 25 minutes about the 2020 presidential election. He claimed newly declassified documents showed that China had acquired 220 million American voter records. The Reuters then reported that information was not confidential and could be used to and could not be used to alter votes when people went into a voting station or post off a postal vote. Like it couldn't be done. But here's the thing: like we used to have a thing called phone books. Do you remember that? Anyone Anyone my age? Do you remember the phone book? To get this big fucking phone. You had the yellow pages, the phone books. The phone books were massive. And then they slimmed them down later on because it was like the phone book used to be like every number in the whole fucking region, and then they slimmed it down so it was just people in Liverpool or whatever. So it became a narrower phone book, but those numbers were in there with your name, your address, and your phone number. If you were a Terminator sent back from the future to find out someone's name and someone, where someone who you had their name and you needed their address, yeah, you'd be able to hunt them down. Knowing that Sarah Connor knew that was going to happen in the future, why didn't she change her name? All they had to go on in the future was her name. So here you go, right? Don't call yourself Sarah Connor anymore. Just completely change your name to something at the bottom of the phone book. So change your name to Zebedee Zellwinger, okay? Right, so you're the last person in the phone book that the Terminator will get to. And then what you also want to do? Oh, you just give yourself a male name. That'll put him off. And don't call your son John Connor. Change his name as well, and just make it something completely fucking random. Just make it like a number plate of a car. BL's 155LJ or something. That's the name of the future leader of the resistance. And then when the Terminator comes back in 1984, he's fucked, isn't he? How's he going to find Sarah Connor? Move out of the Los Angeles area. Just yeah. Anyway, but she never changed her name. She even had a TV show called the Sarah Connor Chronicles, I think. Sarah Connor Chronicles. That's a bad name, that, isn't it? Was it called the Sarah Connor Chronicles? You can't have Connor and Chronicles too close to each other. There's too much alliteration. Do you know what I mean? You've got Con and Cron. Nah, it's too close. It's too close to each other. I'm not having that. Anyway, it's like when they changed the names of, what was it? The W.H. Smith here to they changed it to T.J. Jones. Was it T.J. Jones? No, you can't have that. Was it T.G. Jones? That's what it. T.G. wasn't it? T.G. Jones. And I'm like, no, you can't have a Jones because it's too. It's not good alliteration. It's bad alliteration. Can't have that. Anyway, they're all closed now. Anyway, on the subject of phone books, am I the only one who remembers Joan Rhodes, who was famous for tearing up phone directories? Ooh, yes, that's very cool. I don't remember Joan in particular, but I do remember strong men in the past ripping up phone directories. That was a thing. Anyway, Trump, US 2021 report, US intelligence report that came out in 2021. Found no evidence that any foreign actor changed voter registrations, ballots, tabulations, or results. One document released by Trump concerned an election in Venezuela rather than the United States. Another concluded that manipulating enough voter tabulation machines to affect the result would be difficult, if not impossible. CIA assessment said that China did not intend covertly to sway the outcome of the 2020 election. Trump has provided no evidence that any votes were swayed. He claimed that more than 275,000 non-citizens were registered in 4 states without establishing, how that could possibly happen. He didn't know how many of them had actually voted. And then he urged Congress to pass legislation requiring photo identification and proof of citizenship while restricting postal voting. This is all to do with trying to manipulate the results of the 2026 midterms, which Trump and his party of blunder cunts looks like he's going to fucking just absolutely lose massively. ABC and NBC carried the speech through streaming services rather than their main television channels. They folded their arms. So did CNN. Actually said we're not streaming this. We're not putting this on TV. And when asked why they weren't putting it on TV, they replied that, well, you see, the thing is that if we put on TV and he lies, then we might be in trouble for broadcasting lies. So we're going to put them on the internet instead, where lies like to live. Misinformation, disinformation. It's always good. Lots of it on the internet, in every corner of the internet. It's hard to suss out what's actually true and what's not true. That's why we need to have some trusted sources of information. But even trusted sources of information can fuck with us. There was a story the other day about a woman who was brutally murdered in a car. And the guy who did it got put away for a long time. But it was reported on LBC as a sex worker. A sex worker was attacked. Not a woman. not a mother, not a sister, not a daughter. Oh, a sex worker, just a dehumanizer in the headline of LBC. That's how they do it, you know. That's how they do it. Manipulation, it's everywhere. Anyway, Trump describes the broadcaster's decision not to live stream it, to broadcast him live on the TV, as a plot, and called for their licenses to be revoked. Everyone, look at me, Bart Simpson, with his saucepan on his head, banging it with a wooden spoon. Look at me! Look at me! Anyway, so next up we got Keir Starmer. He's done some appointments. He's done something that outgoing prime ministers are allowed to do, including Liz Truss, who was only prime minister for a day. You know that she gets special protection for the rest of her life that we have to pay for as a taxpayer. There's going to be 9 ex-prime ministers all alive at the same time, all requiring hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of security every fucking day for the rest of their lives. And Liz Truss might live for another 50 fucking years. I don't know. Fucking crazy. Fucking crazy. Anyway, but yeah, the fuckers are going on about it. MPs should have round-clock protection, says the Yusuf, who's not an MP. Okay, cool. Do they want this? Do they need it? No, there's a certain level of security that you could have. And this dickhead, who's this horrible person? Oh, Farage, that's him. Farage, he's been saying, we need this protection. We need this protection. And I wasn't offered it by the Home Office. And it turns out he was. He was offered the same level of protection as Cammy Badenoch gets. Yeah. Anyway. They should have broadcast it live. He's mad and everyone should see it. Not broadcasting edited highlights that cut out the insane ramblings. No, Martin, I disagree. I don't think it should be. I think that Trump should be demonetized. I think he should just be. We shouldn't see him or hear him. You know what I mean? Like, maybe just a digest of the maddest shit he said. It comes out, not the highlights, because there are no highlights, just the lowlights. It's the mad shit that Trump said yesterday. He had this idea that when Trump was in charge, when the Democrats were in charge in 2016, they forgot to rig the election, and when they were in charge in 2024, they forgot to rig the election. When they were in the White House, they forgot to rig the election. But when Trump was in power, in 2020, they did manage to rig the election when they didn't have the presidency. The DOJ, the FBI, the CIA, the MIA, the Big Rat, whatever it is, all on their side. You know, the Coast Guard, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the NSA, the fucking, the Border Patrol, what they call ICE, the Homeland Security, all that shit. Oh, Trump had all that. In 2020, and yet still the Democrats managed to steal a march on him and win an election. I'll accept the result of the election if I win, said Trump. Meanwhile, in 2024, it looks like his Bezzy, on and off, his frenemy, Elon Musk, just bought a load of fucking voting machines and made sure they all went in the way of Trump. The same parts must be very short edit. Well, that's what I mean. Just the insane bits. But yeah. Farage is important. The same way fiber is important. Too much of either and you get the shits. Well, talking of the shits, thank you for bringing me straight on to my next story. Everyone in America's got the shits. They've got the shits. They're calling it Trumperia. Apparently, it's been spread by letters, says Taco Bell. It might just be the Taco Bell. I don't know. But there has been an outbreak of explosive diarrhea all over America. It does look like America is literally going to shit itself to death, which is weird. I mean, it's a cursed monkey paw fucking wish, that, isn't it? No, not like this. Anyway, sorry, go back to Sadiq Khan. Sadiq Khan has become a lord now. He's going to be in the House of Lords, and he will remain the mayor of London. However, this peerage does not just allow him to scrutinise and revise legislation in Parliament's upper chamber. It also makes Khan eligible for a ministerial position without needing a seat in the Commons. He doesn't have to become an MP. So they had the special rule that if you want someone to be in your cabinet, someone to be a minister or secretary of state, you can appoint them to the House of Lords. And so the guy who owns Timpson's Shoes, they did this with him, to become prisons minister. They did it with David Cameron a couple of years ago, where he came in as foreign minister, came back into the cabinet. They made him Lord Gobshite, Lord Gobshite of Gobshiteshire. This is something that's happened for a long time. If you want to get someone into your cabinet, you can do this. Now, no ministerial appointment has been confirmed. The Guardian reports that Khan has told Burnham he does not currently want a government role, and he intends to concentrate on the final 2 years of his present mayoral term. But he's not announced whether he will seek a fourth term in 2028 as the Mayor of London, and he might come into the fold at that point. He doesn't even have to become an MP. That's to do with all the MP shit. He just has to concentrate on doing whatever Andy Burnham gets him to do. Meanwhile, to go back to a story that was picked up earlier, CPAC, Great Britain. This is Britain's first Conservative Political Action Committee conference, taking place in London over 3 days. The Liz Truss organised the event as the British version of the US-based CPAC gathering. Admission packages range from £100 to £10,000. Attendance on the opening day was reported as a few hundred people. Yeah. Speakers included Jack Posobiec, who previously promoted the fabricated Pizzagate conspiracy theory, which led to a guy with an AK-47. No, sorry, an AK-47, AR-15. Turned up with an AR-15 in a pizza restaurant in Washington, D.C., demanding to see the basement. They were like, we don't have a basement. Well, that's exactly what you'd expect them to say. Wes Streeting spotted crying in a lift after meeting Andy Burnham, says Black Dot Dot. Really? Crying. Wes Streeting reportedly been spotted crying in an elevator. Down from... Oh my God. This is from Politics UK. So, which is the second I is an L. So I'm always a bit sus about this, but it's just like it's been spotted crying in a lift down from where Andy Burnham's Parliament office is. Sorry, I shouldn't laugh at that. But yeah. Okay, this is being reported by Guido Fawkes and Politics UK. So yeah. The homophobic homosexual that is Wes Streeting. I mean, he's not very popular on this channel, so I'm not gonna cry any tears over his tears if this is true. But there you go. Good on you, Andy. If you made Wes cry, if that's true. Colin says, "How can Sadiq Khan run London and appear in the Lords? I wish he would run again, not least because it pisses off the usual suspects, and he's incredibly popular as well. Make him more popular than Dick Turpentine. Dick Turpentine, that was it. Oh no, he was the highwayman. Who was the one? Dick Whittingham." Mayor of London, yeah, not Dick Turpentine. He was a highway robber. I get mixed up with all these dicks. Is that the actress to the Bishop? Anyway, how can Sadiq Khan run London and appear in the Lords? Well, I mean, the Lords don't do very much, do they? You don't have to turn up. There's like 850 fucking Lords. It's a ridiculous number of them. There's more Lords than there are MPs, and you get 200 quid if you turn up. And dinner. So maybe when it's dinner time and he's a bit peckish, he'll just drop into Parliament and pick up his dinner voucher. Whittington, great. Yeah, I know. I was making a joke about dicks. Can you just leave me to my dick jokes, please? God. I was watching Try Not to Laugh. What's it called? Last something standing, Last Man Standing or something. It's on Netflix, and they put all these comedians in a room together, and they've got to not laugh. And it was an end of series 1, and it was a face-off between Richard Adelade, who hadn't even fucking cracked a smile for the whole time he'd been there because he's so deadpan, and Bob Mortimer. And Bob Mortimer just started reeling off these one-liners and he cracked Richard Onowade, and it was beautiful to see. A couple of the jokes that I absolutely loved. One of them was I got my tubes tied because I didn't want any kids, but when I came home they were still there, dying. Bob Mortimer just deadpan doing these jokes. He's just like reading them off. He's reading them off cards. I got home, they're still there. There was a kidnapping at my son's school, but then he woke up. Graham wants a bed of willies, says Smartin. Ooh. He's the dandy Hugh Wayman you're scared to mention. The Hugh Wayman? You mean the highwayman? Stand and deliver your money or your life. Anyway, what are we talking about? Oh, CPAC. Oh, God. Romanian politician George Simeon uses the phrase remigration and great replacement during his address. Great. Racist ideas there. Wonderful. We had Suella Braverman arguing that attempts to create equality are an embedded inequality. No, they really haven't. We had embedded inequality. You stupid fucker. You know, like, seriously, fuck off, you fucking privately educated, posh fucking knobhead. She's such a fucking idiot. Her and her mate, Robert Jenrick, privately educated, and Danny Kruger, privately educated, came across from the Tories. Richard Tice, privately educated. Sarah Puchin, poo on her chin, from, you know, gargling someone's balls probably, and she's privately educated. Obviously Nigel Farage, privately educated. Christopher Harborne, privately educated. George Cottrell, privately educated. Andy Wigmore, the privately educated, and also David Hannon, privately educated, and all of them, every single one of them was born into fucking vast amounts of wealth, and then these motherfuckers have got the brass neck, they've got the audacity to talk about inequality when they've never really experienced inequality because they've lived in a fucking rarefied bubble their entire lives. There's a guy on the radio the other day. Starmer's not a man of the people. He's a barrister. He's not a man of the people. Yeah, his dad was a toolmaker, you know. What about Farage then? Is he a man? Oh, yeah, he's a man of the people. What, the multimillionaire, went to a really expensive private school, worked as a trader in the city of London. Man of the people, right? Owns 5 houses. Man of the people. Yeah? Okay. I still watch CFAX on YouTube. It's relaxing. Makes me feel like I'm 7. Again, checking the footy scores with my dad. Oh, do you know what? We're in a verse. When you had like 1 of 3 and you had to wait for it to cycle through to the next page. Do you remember that? You couldn't go to the next. Yeah, to 1 of 3, 2 of 3, 3 of 3. And you're sitting there waiting for it to cycle. And then sometimes, I think on the footy results, it could go up to like 16 or something. And it would just come. And if you missed it, you missed it. There's a guy in Enniskillen who streams CFAX on YouTube. Oh, that's beautiful. That'll make our Lord and Saviour campaign face very, very happy. Back to the CPAC. Nigel Farage, an Australian One Nation leader, Pauline Hanson, who's a racist bigot, are scheduled to appear, I think today or whenever. And sponsors include the John Birch Society and Alpha Compute, and businesses involved in cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin. Yeah, Bitcoin. This gathering of rich nepo baby fuckwits was brought to you by cryptocurrency. Because what cryptocurrency people do is they get you to buy their cryptocurrency, right? And then they extract all the value from what you've given them, and then they leave you with nothing. So happened with Trump coin, or whatever the fuck he called it. Truth Liberty coin, whatever it was. He took a third. Every time there was a transaction, he took a third. He ended up making over $1 billion. Meanwhile, the people who put their money in it ended up collectively losing over $2 billion. There you go. That's how it works. Lovely. But yeah, I'm glad some people lost their shirt. But I'm sad that it went to Trump. I hope that once he's out of power and they can reclaim all of his money, suck it all out of him, using a big hose, and redistribute that money towards people who need it. As he doesn't need any money. He's got enough gold shite. CryptoCon. Yeah, cryptocurrency. Anyway, apparently the Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch will not be attending this jamboree of right-wing twats. So I suppose that's a good thing. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I think that she has learned that she needs to not be such a twat. Well, I don't know if she can stop being such a twat, but I think that Kemi Badenoch in recent months has realised that she's not going to beat Nigel Farage by aping him. He is a gobshite. You don't want to be like him, and she can't win. She can't win against this this insufferable twat. Yes. I'm going to take a pill now. This is my ADHD pills. Calm me down a bit. Don't get too excited. It's only a really, really low dose. If I take anything higher, my jaw I start clenching my jaw. Apparently, it's because I'm overstimulated. Yeah, just take one of them. Now I've forgotten what I was talking about. Bloody forgetting pills. So I'm in the process of going through some of my old pictures from 1999 when I took a trip around Egypt, Jordan, and Syria, and Lebanon, and Turkey with a couple of mates of mine. And the pictures, obviously, they were a bit old, a bit scratched, a bit grainy. So I'm running them through Photoshop, right? And what I do is select the whole screen, and I go into the AI generate bit. And I say, do not change anything about this picture. Just get rid of the scratches. Get rid of, improve the clarity. Get rid of the motion blur, whatever it is, right? And 9 times out of 10, it gives me back pretty much the same picture, just without the scratches, which is what I want. I don't want you to recreate someone's face to look like somebody else. So stop doing that AI. Right. So, it took me a while to get the prompt just right so it would do. But there's a picture of me, right? In the word of a lie, there's a picture of me on the top of Mount Sinai, and I am holding a blister pack of tablets. It's a joke because I'm on the top of Mount Sinai, right? And I'm holding these tablets, but they're tablets that you take, right? Medication, they're like aspirin or something. And the AI for Love Nor Money will not do anything with this picture. It's like, no, not touching that, not touching that. And I'm like, what's the problem? It goes against it may go against our AI Firefly Adobe policy. And I'm like, is it because I'm holding some pills? Yeah. Very, very, very cautious. And I was just thinking, that's kind of crazy. There's been another picture as well, and there was a bunch of people, and one of the people near the camera, they had the back to the camera, and you could see their bare shoulders, right? And obviously it's interpreted this as nudity. Someone's back, and they were, they had clothes on, but just the way it was cropped, it made it look like. And then it won't touch that either. It's like, no, not touching this. No, you're not doing this. This may violate. And I'm like, that is so trigger sensitive, right? For producing AI based on these pictures, right? All I'm asking to do is clean it up. I'm not asking it to, take clothes off someone or whatever. But isn't it interesting that you've got, I'm not saying AI is good in any way, shape or form, but there is definitely a spectrum there, isn't there? Where you have sort of Adobe who are overcautious because they're a proper company that have made, all these products for years, like Photoshop and Premiere and stuff. And then you've got Grok, which is just the Wild West free for all, 12-year-old boys running around doing horrible things to people. And Grok's like, yeah, I fucking love this. I fucking love this. Isn't it sad? Anyway, the reason why I'm talking about this is because, talking of Grok or XAI, which is the owner of Grok or something, the value of shares in SpaceX, which owns XAI, which owns Grok for some reason, have plummeted, absolutely plummeted. And yeah, there were so many people at the time were saying this is a pump and dump scheme, and it absolutely was. And when it comes to Bitcoin and these fucking online scams, I'm sort of getting a little bit reminiscent, I'm getting a bit of nostalgia, for the good old days of getting an email, badly spelt email from a Nigerian prince. Just all he wanted was my bank details so he could put some money into my bank account, because I deserved it. And I thought, wow, these people have taken that con that Nigerian banking scam that everyone who was a bit slightly tech savvy knew about and ignored. But they've taken it to this whole new fucking level of just absolute scammage, where they're just stealing people's life savings, and the people are chuckling while they're having the life savings taken off them. Is that guy in the little shop of horrors who goes in to see the doctor, and the dentist, Steve Martin. It's Bill Murray, isn't it? Goes in to see the dentist, and he's laughing as he gets his teeth taken out because he loves it so much. Is it Bill Murray? I can't remember. Who's in the dentist chair in Little Shop of Horrors, the 80s remake, the musical version? Who is it in the dentist chair? I've got this feeling that it was Bill Murray, but it might not have been. Anyway, he loves pain, and he's just laughing. He's just laughing as this sadistic dentist is trying to take his teeth out. He's like, more. That's like what these people who go for cryptocurrency and invest in SpaceX and Grok AI and all, this is what they are. They're just laughing as they're having their teeth pulled out with no anesthesia. Do you know what I mean? It's like, what the fuck? Yeah, it's Bill Murray. Okay, thank you. Glad my brain's slightly working this morning. I got to tell you a funny story. Do you know yesterday, right, we were talking about religion, and I'm not going to go on a big screed about religion again. We were talking about religion yesterday morning, and we were talking about Christianity and Islam and Judaism and Hinduism and everything else, right? And in the chat, I don't know who it was, but someone mentioned the Jehovah's Witnesses, right? They said the Jehovah's Witnesses don't come round to my house, or do come round to my house, or something like that. I think it was Gallifreyan Men. Was it Gallifreyan Men who mentioned? It was someone mentioned specifically the Jehovah's Witnesses. I think they put JH, right? And as I was reading their message, as I was reading it, I just heard the sound of the postie dropping some post off at the house, through the letterbox. I heard the letterbox go, right? As I was reading out that message. Anyway, an hour or so later, I finished the show, get up, go into the kitchen to go and have some breakfast, and go to the front door, and it wasn't the postie. It wasn't the postie who called by at the exact moment I was talking about Jehovah's Witnesses, because someone had put it about them in the chat. It was the fucking Jehovah's Witnesses. They'd left a fucking flyer, a leaflet in my door. It's like, what the fuck? Are they listening? Are you watching? How can they see what I'm talking about? Oh, obviously I'm streaming on the internet. I'm a bit scared now. The Jehovah's Witnesses are always watching you. We don't just witness Jehovah, Graham. We also witness you. So, maniacal laugh. Is that Photoshop AI cleanup? Says Mark. No, I'm doing it. I don't use that. It's shite. The AI cleanup thing. You mean the plugin that they give you? It's doing me head in. I've just been using a prompt. It's worked quite well. It's worked quite well. On like 50 of the pictures I've done, it's worked quite well. Getting rid of the dirt and the scratches. And then now and again, it'll change someone's face. And I'm like, stop changing people's faces. But sometimes what I do is, because it's got a mask on it, I just kind of like, what's it called? Blot out the mask a little bit on people's faces. So the old picture is still visible. The old grainy picture is still visible. Lee says, my ADHD meds help keep me calm. We were trying to sort out some stuff around the house on some Saturday before people came over, and it was going wrong, and I was really stressed. I took my meds, and it was fine. Cool. Well, yeah, I mean, that's cool. I don't really get that stressed, though. I mean, I don't even know what these things are supposed to do with me. Maybe I should try a different medication. I don't really know how I'm supposed to feel. Anyway, I do know how I'm supposed to feel about getting some money, so I'm gonna put some confetti up for your edification. If you would like to deliver confetti, if you'd like to help me load the confetti cannon, you can. I'm not going to do a 2-hour show, but if we do, you, my friends, can have your confetti cannon, and I'll let the last person who gives the money decide whether they want traditional confetti, or whether they want Count Binface, or whether they want Boba Fett. we're overdue a visit from Jehovah's Witnesses. Every summer they turn up. They call you, ask about the Great Disappointment. That wasn't them. That wasn't them. The Great Disappointment wasn't the Jehovah's Witnesses. It was the Millerites. Millerites. It was the Millerite sect. They were the Great Disappointment people. The Jehovah's Witnesses have predicted the end of the world on about 5 different occasions. I think they stopped doing that now. The ADHD meds don't seem to help my inability to focus stroke concentrate. Yeah. XJW here. Just have flashbacks when I had to knock on doors as a youngster, says Rob. Oh, I'm sorry. I always notice that it's always like a young person and an older person who knocks on the door. Before my dad got ill with dementia, I was around the house one time and there was a knock on the door and it was two Jehovah's Witnesses, an older Jehovah's Witnesses and younger Jehovah's Witnesses, and it was me and my dad at the door, and like my dad's, he's a massive atheist as well. That's where I get it from. And he was just like, but it doesn't make any sense. And he's like pointing out all these things in the Bible. I was like, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. I tell them to go away, and they do. My encounter with Assemblies of God when in Essex, I invite them in. I invite in Jehovah's Witnesses, usually when it's my place, when it's my gaff. I've had Jehovah's Witnesses come to my island in Panama. They've paddled over. And I've invited them on and said, do you want a cup of tea? And made them a cup of tea or a cup of coffee or whatever, and sat them down and had a chat and fucked with them, basically, by reading from the Bible that they brought with them. Because I know which bits to read out. Slam the book shut and say, you let your children. Came to me with Down syndrome boy who said they wouldn't be going to heaven because, oh my God, what? Some came to me once with a Down syndrome boy who they said wouldn't be going to heaven. What the fuck is wrong with them? Well, they don't celebrate. They're not allowed to celebrate birthdays or Christmas. It's so depressing. It's cruelty. It is. I think growing up as a Jehovah's Witness, I think it is cruel. I think it's just tight parents. Parents who don't really want to have kids but feel obliged, so they just have kids, right? And then like, oh fuck, do I have to buy them a fucking birthday present? Oh, I've got to buy them a fucking Christmas present. Oh, fuck that shit. I'm just gonna become a Jehovah's Witnesses, a witness, and then I don't have to buy them nothing. Breeders, eh? Anyway, I've got some shit news. Foreign office figures show that UK bilateral aid to Mozambique and Malawi fell by 90% will fall by 90% by 2029. Mozambique and Malawi. I mean, Malawi used to be called Nyasaland. It was part of the British Empire at one point. Mozambique wasn't. It was part of the Portuguese Empire, but it is a member of the Commonwealth. I think we should be looking after the Commonwealth. I should be, helping the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth, those countries, most of them, helped us become the rich, prosperous country that we have today. Those big prestige buildings that you see all over London and in other places like Liverpool, they were built on the backs of people from other countries. Their gold that we stole, their opium that we sold, the opium that we sold them, the palaces we burned down, the treasures we robbed, the people we enslaved. I mean, there's so many crimes that the British Empire committed. I think it's only right that we should invest in the Commonwealth. We got the money, and it's a good investment. It's like investing in deprived areas of a city. It's a good investment. It's like investing in public transport. It's a good investment. Because you give a little love and it all comes back to you. Sorry, you give a bit of money and it all comes back to you. If you increase the living standards of people in developing nations, they'll get to a point where they can buy the shit that we're selling. At the moment, they can't buy any of the shit we're selling. People in developing nations need cheap accommodation, they need cheap clothes, they need cheap food, they need a cheap mobile phone. There are 4 things that we cannot create for them. And also the charity sector, there has been a lot of criticism about the charity sector because people do feel that it keeps people entrenched in poverty, and they've got a point to a certain extent. There is only that 1% of charity that actually gets to the person that it's supposed to get to does probably keep that person alive, and I'm not going to diss that for a moment, but there must be a better way, and the better way is to make these countries more prosperous. And we've got this stupid idea. I think a lot of people have got this zero-sum game idea that if Africa is more prosperous, then we'll be less prosperous. It doesn't work like that. If Africa's more prosperous, if the 54 and a half countries that make up Africa have more money, then they're going to buy more stuff off us. It's a benefit for us. But Rwanda and Sierra Leone, Rwanda's also a member of the Commonwealth, even though it was a Belgian colony and then a French colony, I think, afterwards. It's oh no, it was Belgium. It was Belgium all along, wasn't it? Until they got independence. Rwanda and Sierra Leone, which is a member of the Commonwealth. Sierra Leone was set up by Britain. It was set up by William Wilberforce. You know the guy who helped abolish slavery in this country? Yeah, William Wilberforce. He helped set up Sierra Leone, the province of freedom, right? That they face reductions of 80%. 80%. And I'll have you know, if you've not heard the story before, when I crossed over the border into Sierra Leone, I got my passport stamped, I got my customs stamp, then I had to go and see a doctor. The reason I had to go and see a doctor, this was fairly early, I think it was like April or May 2009, and at the time there was a swine flu outbreak, and so they were testing people's temperature as they crossed the border to make sure they weren't feverish or anything. So I went in, saw the doctor, and he saw that I was from Britain. He saw my British passport, and his eyes lit up. He was just like that, you know, just like really, oh my god, because I was coming over the border from Guinea. He's just like, no one does that. No one comes over from Guinea into Sierra Leone. This is a highly unusual way of entering the country. And he stood up. He gave me as I came into the room, he stood up and he shook my hand and he said, the British came in my darkest hour and they saved my life and the life of my family, the lives of my family. And it's a kindness I'll never forget. And he was, hand on heart, shaking my hand. And it was just a really lovely way to be introduced to a country, of a country that was really, really appreciative of Britain, of my country. And I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting everyone to tell me to fuck off, to be honest with you, considering what the British did in Africa. But here's one part of Africa where they're truly appreciative. He wasn't the only one. I mean, he was just the first person I really met when I came across the border. And he was just really lovely about it. And this is the kind of soft power that the likes of Johnson and Truss and Farage want to do away with. They want us to be hated as much as they are hated in this country. They want to spread misery and anger and otherness to people from all over the world. And I want that to end. Direct assistance to Somalia will fall by 49%. What have we got to do with Somalia? That was an Italian colony, wasn't it? No. Somaliland in the north used to be British Somalia. These are places that we went to in the past, fucked up, took all their resources, and left them to fucking rot, essentially. And now we're turning around saying, well, you're not going to get this aid that we did promise because we've got to spend it all on defence because of fucking bloody Vladimir Putin, one squishy little human being. He will squish one day after they throw him out of a fucking window. The cuts form part of the government's decision to redirect overseas development towards spending on defence because of Vladimir Putin. Former Development Minister Annalise Dodds resigned after the policy was announced on the grounds that this is fucking disgraceful. The government intends to channel a greater proportion of its reduced budget through multilateral institutions, including the World Bank, and development organisations argue that loss of direct grants could end existing health, education and humanitarian programmes. It just pisses me off. We're the fifth richest country in the world, and the only reason why we've got no money is because of fucking mismanagement by privately educated twats who are elevated to positions above their fucking ability. 2 words for you, Benjamin. Matt Hancock. Matt Hancock. The Watchtower is funnier than Viz. They call it flirty fishing, excuse me. My main issue with charities is they mainly are doing what the government should be doing. Charities are a symptom of government failure in a sense. Well, I don't know. I think there is a limit on the sort of stuff that governments can put money into. And I think there's always going to be a space for a charity to pick up a specialist area where some people are affected by it and they want to give in to research projects or to giving aid in that way. But yeah, generally speaking, you're right. If the government did its job properly, we wouldn't need charity. You often hear this bullshit from the libertarian motherfuckers who are like, did you know that if you give less money in you have to pay less money in tax, you give more in charity? You know, because they want control. They want control of where their money goes when they give money to something. They don't want it to go to the plebs. They don't want it to go to the hoi polloi. They want it to go to their specialist interest groups. And you'll see this with all rich people. They're all like this. They want to completely control their money from cradle to the grave, and like of the cradle and the grave of their money as well. You know, they want to control it. They don't want to give it away to the government because the government could do anything with that. They want to decide what they can do, and this is why so many interfere. You've got the people who will invest in a film, but then tell the film director that they've got to cast their nephew in the film, you know, class a bit of nepotism. Or you've got people who give lots of money to charity, but then steer the charity towards their particular thing that they are interested in, you know. And people need to fucking stop doing that. One of the reasons why the idea of taxation is a pretty good idea is you don't get a choice of where that money goes, really. You can sort of have a choice in that you can elect a government that's more likely to spend money on social programs than enriching their mates. But at the end of the day, you pay your taxes and off it pops. Off it jolly well pops. But if we can afford 37 billion for a fucking app that doesn't work for COVID, give it to who was that woman? Who was that woman who Dido Harding? Was that her name? Dido Harding, privately educated, of course, ex university friend of David Cameron. Put in the House of Lords, elevated above her capabilities, and then she was put in charge of developing an app that we could have developed with the Europeans. And it would have cost us a fraction of the money that was set aside for that app that didn't even fucking work. Daylight M, the existence of charities show a failure by government to follow the social contract, says Daylight M. Yeah, to an extent, but I mean, it depends what the charity is. I mean, I don't think there should be homeless charities, but there is. I mean, obviously, there's shelter, and I give to shelter. There's the Whitechapel Centre in Liverpool, there's Paper Corp charity, but there shouldn't be any homeless people. There shouldn't be any refugees. Yeah, people talk about asylum seekers coming in. Yeah, stop them being asylum seekers. Make it so that countries have a charter to sign up to that say we're not going to be horrible to our citizens. But when violence breaks out between countries, get in there, broker. I don't mean military. I mean militarily. I mean start brokering some peace talks. Start getting people sat down in rooms and talking to each other. George Orwell is always better than war. Dildo harder. Says what now? Excuse me. Charities are harmful. To be honest, they give the impression that something is being done, but they're not professionalized. And often more interested in public relations. They're not professionalized. I think WaterAid and Greenpeace and Oxfam, they're very professionalized. They're very good at raising money and then spending it in places where it needs to be spent. They've got a lot of experience of that. And yeah, you can do a bake sale, or you can do a fucking jumble sale, or a school athletics day and raise a bit of money, but and 100% of it goes towards your chosen charity. Okay, cool, but at the same time, like I'd rather these big charities made fucking millions instead, and use that money, because you know you can actually change things with a lot of money. But and I don't want to get dragged too much into debating the merits of charity. I give to certain charities. I raised money for WaterAid when I was traveling around the world, and also I raised money for the UNHCR, the refugee part of the UN when I was doing the Eurodyssey to every country in Europe. But yes, Steve points out that new needs emerge all the time. Charities are a really good way of responding quickly and alerting people to the problem. That's very true. Charity is capitalism's way of avoiding actual systemic responsibility, because there will be a good Samaritan. I don't need to change the system. But yeah, I think that charities can exist in a more socialist system that helps look after people. But I think there needs to be doing the right thing and putting money into these projects to make sure that we don't have any homeless people. put money into overseas development aid so countries don't fucking start fighting against each other, or the tyrannical government doesn't get in and then starts torturing its own people so people feel the need to leave. Look at foundations like Bill Gates Foundation. They are tax dodgers or hoard more money in ego trips, waste money on ego trips. Not all charities are the same. Yeah, I look, Ernie, the Bill Gates Foundation was set up because Bill Gates was public enemy number one back in 2000. When, you could have a public enemy number one and people would hate them for making too much money and supplying Internet Explorer with everything and destroying Netscape Navigator. Bring back Netscape Navigator in the process. But at the same time, he at the time you couldn't be that horrible. You can now. Obviously, Elon Musk is that horrible, and they laud him for it. But he set up the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to try and make it seem like he wasn't a twat. He wanted people to think he wasn't a twat. He was a twat. He is a twat. He hung out with Epstein. I mean, but he wanted people to think that he's not. However, I will say that the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, although, yeah, you're probably right, it is a massive tax dodge. To put it into a charity, they decide where the money goes. Absolutely. They have done a lot of work on malaria prevention in Africa. They have saved millions of lives in Africa. They have. They just have. We're getting nets out to people with mosquito nets. And developing a vaccine for malaria, which is remarkable because malaria is not a virus. It's not a disease. It's a parasite. It's born of a parasite that you get, is in the bite of the female mosquito, a particular type of mosquito. Ones that don't make any noise, by the way. To point this out, when you hear a mosquito in your room, that's not going to give you malaria. It's the silent killer. But yeah, the foundation actually helped the people of Africa, but the percentage that did genuinely help people in Africa, which is more than our government did, or more than the American government did to try, or more than the United Nations did to try and stop malaria from killing millions of people every year and developing nations. So yeah, I mean, it's there you go. That's what Graham was saying earlier about choosing where your taxes are spent. Yeah. I don't give to charity, says Jimmy. The abolition of monarchy money could do so much good in the UK. ROI president only costs for stroke. Well, the Republic of Ireland president only costs for 4 to 5 million a year. 4 to 5 million, Jesus Christ. Yeah. I agree to a certain extent, but I've got this idea now that we should just sell everything in the British Museum. We'll make trillions. Just sell it all. So we've got more billionaires than ever before, right? They don't know what to spend their money on. Give them some trinket from the basements, the third under basement of the British Museum. Give them some fucking trinket from there. Don't shrink it. Have a trinket. Give the Parthenon marbles back. Give the Burnham bronzes back. Give the Rosetta Stone back. Make a copy. Keep the copy. You go to the Egyptian Museum, the old Egyptian Museum in Cairo. There was first thing you saw was a Rosetta Stone. Was a Rosetta Stone. Sorry, it was a copy. I couldn't tell the difference. Go into the Parthenon Museum in Athens, in Greece. Amazing museum, modern museum. And they have plaster casts of all of the bits that are missing that are actually in the British Museum from around the top of the Parthenon. And scan it, 3D scanner, get some blocks of marble, CND milling machine, CND, that campaign for nuclear disarmament, CNC milling machines, go around, yep. There you go. Exact fucking replica of your horse. Have that in the British Museum. The original goes back to Greece. So everything gets repatriated, that needs to be repatriated. And everything left over, we sell. We sell to these billionaires who've got too much money. You think that a billionaire wouldn't spend £1 billion fucking pounds on buying some fucking bit of jewellery from the Bronze Age? Of course they fucking would. They've got nothing else to spend their money on. Would make trillions. Fuck getting rid of the royal family. If you really want to make money, sell everything in the British Museum. Actually, no, don't sell everything. Sell 99% of the stuff. Because you know what? In the British Museum, 99% of the stuff isn't on public display. It's in a storeroom. Like at the end of Indiana Jones. Yeah? Sorry, Raiders of the Lost Ark. How many artifacts in the British Museum are actually British? I think it's over 50%. I mean, there is a lot of British stuff in the British Museum, but there is a lot of stuff from other places. I don't know. I might be talking out my arse. It might be only 5%. I don't know. How many British artifacts of the? Oh my God, it is 5. Of the approximately 8 million objects, each are worth probably about £1 million. Roughly 650,000 artifacts originate from the United Kingdom. Okay, so what's that as a percentage? 8.1% of the artifacts in the British Museum are actually British. God, like, overestimated that. It's probably half, isn't it? No. 8 million artifacts. And do you know what? The British Museum is only one museum. There's a bunch of other museums around the country. So there's the Ashmolean Museum. There's the Whitworth Gallery. No, it's a gallery. What's the museum in Manchester called? I don't know. There's a museum in Liverpool, the World Museum. Yeah, like the Natural History Museum. Just make a copy. Just make a copy of the dinosaur bones. No one's gonna fucking know. I wouldn't know. You know, just make a really good-looking copy of your T-Rex and then sell it. Sell it to a billionaire for £1 billion fucking pounds, and then just collect the money and then distribute it to a good. This is a way to generate fuckloads of money for this country. Just make a copy and have the copy in the museum. What does it matter? Like, no one cares. Like that, you know. If you, it seems ridiculous to me that if you are a Indian scholar and you are studying a particular period in Indian history, you have to get a visa and fly to Britain to go to the British Museum to get special permission to go and have a look at that Indian object. You have to pay for all this, right? To get the, I think you can. I think if you're studying in university, you can see the objects for free. But getting over to the UK isn't free, obviously, from India. You've got to pay for your food and lodgings and everything. So why isn't this stuff in India? Why isn't this stuff in... It's called the Manchester Museum. Oh, that's the one. I thought it had a funny name. Like the Bogladen, Bogota. What's the name of the library in Manchester? No, I'm sorry, I'm mixed up. There's the John Rylands Library in Manchester. There's the Ashmolean Museum in Oxford, I think. And isn't there I don't know, it begins with B. There's a library, isn't there? Bodleian. Is it called the Bodleian? Am I just making shit up right now? I don't know. Bodleian Library. Is this really a thing? Building. And it's called the Bodleian Library. If you publish a book in this country, you have to send a copy of it to the Bodleian Library. It's got that famous, I think it's called the Camera, and it's a round building. And one of the Oxford things to do is to get naked and run a lap around the Bodleian Camera. And if you get to the end and your mates haven't run off with your clothes, you're doing really well. You're doing really well. Speaking of people doing really well, my beloved Catherine, she ran the 10K yesterday in less than an hour. The Durham City Run. Very, very proud of her. She's looking awesome, and she got the 10K. So well done, Kat, if you're watching. Really, really impressive. Central Library, Manchester. Yeah, that's around as well. You can't run around the round building, the round library in Liverpool anymore because it's connected to the building next to it, which is a bit more modern. But used to. Mic issues getting more frequent, Graham. Oh dear. What you've got issues with mic, or is mic issues? Do you mean microphone issues, or do you mean you got issues with mic dicks? Just fair enough. Congratulations, Kat. I know I'm really, really, really made up. Really made up. She's awesome. She's awesome. Dun dun dun. There you go. She ran a 10K, and then we came home, and she's done really well, and mega proud of her. It's a bit inspirational, actually. I think I might start doing couch to 5K. There she is. Hi, Kat. Yay! There she is with her medal after running. I think it was 56 minutes she did it in, which is really impressive because she only started running last year. So there you go. Fun stuff. Okay, so sorry, I'm going to stop bragging about my girlfriend. Let's look at what else have we got here. She's also a PhD. Do you know what I mean? She's actually Dr. Cat. Dr. Cat in physics PhD from Durham. Your sound keeps cutting out, does it? Oh, fucking hell. Okay, I'm gonna try and keep an eye on here. It might just be the cable. I think if I like touch the cable in any way, the sound cuts out, which is incredibly frustrating. But I'm gonna keep an eye on my levels, and hopefully, it'll settle down. I don't know. Maybe not. My flat is making me feel ill due to the constant heat. Oh, I'm sorry, Sarah. I hope we don't lose the bits of the pantheon we hold. The Greeks will lose their marbles. Waka waka waka. Parthenon marbles. Red one, Rylands. Oh yes, the Ryland Library. Isn't that in yeah, your mic issues? I think it was. I've got me. What's this thing called? Keyboard. I got me guitar. Playing my guitar. I got my guitar, and I think that keeps touching the cable for my mic. I should get a wireless mic, shouldn't I? Then nothing bad would ever happen. Cuthbert. What did Cuthbert say? Hope she still had more energy to do the housework. Cuthbert! I did the housework. Well, not all of it. We share responsibility. Okay, so where was I? I was talking about developmental organisations complaining about the loss of direct grants from the UK, which is really shit. Meanwhile, there's police have charged a 39-year-old called Vahid Aberi from Liverpool on suspicion of assisting Iran's intelligence service. The alleged offence falls under UK national security legislation. Aberi was taken to a police station in central England. Officers searched addresses in Birmingham and Liverpool. Police said they identified no direct threat to a particular individual community. And Aberi is due to appear in Westminster Magistrates later today. Dear. That wasn't even a dad joke. That was terrible. It didn't even deserve a squeaky tank. Next up we're talking about Agent X. Do you want to talk about Agent X? This sounds like something that the Americans like pumped out of a fucking helicopter over the people of Vietnam in it. Agent X. The Investigatory Powers Commissioner's Office has reprimanded MI5 over its handling of an informant known as Agent X. Agent X was a foreign national involved in neo-Nazi organizations. MI5 recruited him before 2019, and he attacked his girlfriend, publicly known as Beth, identified publicly as Beth, with a machete. He invoked his intelligence service connection while attempting to prevent her speaking about his behavior. An MI5 officer confirmed his informant's status to a BBC journalist. During later court proceedings, the agency adopted a policy of neither confirming nor denying the relationship. And this is why the Hillsborough law is so important. This is when duty of candour comes in. And this is why the security apparatus, MI5, MI6, GCHQ, the old Oxbridge elite that run the spy rings in our country and around the world, they didn't want the Hillsborough law coming in because stuff like this would come out. The watchdog concluded that MI5, the court and oversight officials have been misled. MI5 subsequently acknowledged that a senior officer had submitted false evidence in 3 court cases. This is a case about a woman being attacked by a fucking lunatic man, of course, it's always a man, with a machete. And the security services pulling rank and saying, no, we're not going to talk about this. Beth received a compensation earlier this year, and Agent X, whoever they are, is on. Hello. Well, this is bollocksing bollocks, isn't it? I'll tell you what, right? What I'm going to do, it might be either the dodgy cable, like that's attached to the mic, but it might be a dodgy port on my computer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug this into the back of my computer, but that requires me to jump back into get under the desk and plug it into the back of my computer. So in order to do that, I'm going to go over to the papers over here. Hello. And you can look at Claudia Winkleman while I go and grovel around the back of my computer trying to get this thing to actually fucking work. So I'll be back in a moment. Big love to you all. See you in a mo. One, two. Nice. Where was I? Hello. Did you enjoy Claudia? Okay, I'm back from outer space, and you're here with that sad look upon your face. Okay, so I'm back. Claudia Winkleman. Yeah, her fringe annoys me though. I can't be dealing with the fringe. Had a foobar USB port on my old PC, frustrating. I've got tons of USB ports at the back, but I think the ones at the front of the PC are just a bit fucked. But we'll see. But please let me know if my sound goes on. My sound goes off again. So sorry, where was I? I think I was talking about sanctions on Sudan. So I don't know what part of that you missed, but I was essentially talking about Sudan, the civil war in Sudan just not getting as much coverage as it should be. The civil war is really fucking grim in Sudan. So you got the RSF, which is this militia group that used to be paid by the government to go out doing horrible militia things, and then you've got the government forces who are paid by the government to go out and do horrible things, and they're having a fight amongst themselves, and like giants fighting in a playground, everyone's getting crushed underfoot, and there are some horrific massacres that are taking place, especially in eastern Sudan at the moment, because a lot of the people who live in eastern Sudan, in the Darfur region especially, are not necessarily Muslim. Got some animist people living there, people, their own faiths, their own religions, and they're seen as second-class citizens by the government in Khartoum and by the militia as well. So the militia are fighting the government, but they're both fighting against anyone who's the wrong flavour of Islam or the wrong religion. The measures that we're putting in place cover networks linked to both the RSF, the Rapid Support Forces, and the Sudanese Army. One targeted financier is accused of supporting the RSF through Dubai-based property, gold, and holding companies. The other designations cover RAF procurement operatives, and 2 companies based in the UAE. The UAE have got their fucking dirty, fucking horrible little bloodstained hands all over this. Their grubby little fucking bloodstained hands all over this. And the UAE and Saudi Arabia's got involved as well. And Saudi Arabia and UAE have had a big fucking falling out about this because I think they're both they're each supporting different parts of this. I think the UAE is supporting the RSF, and the government in Saudi is supporting the government forces. But both of them are bad for the people of Sudan. A Hong Kong company and 3 Sudanese state-owned mining businesses were sanctioned over alleged links to army funding. Sudan's declared gold exports were worth approximately $1.5 billion across 2024 and 2025. The British government estimates that additional gold worth billions of dollars is being smuggled out of the country every year. And Britain has warned that El Obeid faces a risk, that's an area in the east of the country, faces a risk of mass atrocities. I mean, some have already been carried out. We've seen them from satellite. We've seen them from space. And it's called for the United Nations for an armed embargo to be extended to cover the city. I think that we need an arms embargo to cover the whole fucking country, to be honest with you. How are we doing the mic? Is it cut out again? MI5 are muting you. You need an AI agent to monitor your sound levels. When they go to 0, they trigger an event. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. But what could also happen is I could pay more attention to. It might be that I need to put 50p in the meter. I'm not saying that super chats are open, but I am saying super chats are open. It might just be that. I might just need to put 50p in the meter. So, you know, if someone wants to put 50p in the idiots, I will donate that to the chosen charity of our Lecky meter. Not that we have a Lecky meter anymore. We've got a smart meter, haven't we? But you know how it used to be. Anyway, so ministers have abandoned plans to stop paying volunteer Coast Guard rescue officers for attending emergencies. The officers currently receive hourly payments during call-outs. A Court of Appeal ruling in January found that these payment arrangements meant they were legally workers rather than unpaid volunteers. So this is getting them on a technicality. The Marine and Coast Guard Agency proposed ending payments in September and moving to an expenses-only system. Coast Guard officers, trade unions and MPs opposed the change. An internal survey has indicated that experienced personnel could reduce their ability or resign. And Maritime Minister Keir Mather confirmed that the existing payment arrangements will continue. And Mather declined to express confidence in the MCA executive. Virginia McVeigh. McVeigh? I think it's McVeigh. But yes, it's fine to pay volunteers. It's like bloody rugby union, rugby league all over again. It's fine, pay them. You know, they're doing something fucking good. Fucking pay them for it. Why does everyone have to have this idea that if you... My sound is gone. Oh, hang on. No, that's all right. Sorry, I was looking at an old message there. Can't believe they sent you off with blurry vision, Chris. What? Dears, I survived the eye screening. I managed to get home safe despite the efforts of a certain generation not giving space. Is that the younger generation? Martin, they do the test, then you're off wearing sunglasses and being unable to read for a few hours. Oh dear. It's going to be interesting to see how it'll be with Andy Burnham from Monday. He left Manchester in a great place with his creation of the B Network, etc. Yeah, I'm quite hopeful. Listen, we're going to have our first Scouse Prime Minister since Gladstone. We're going to have our first Prime Minister ever to be an Evertonian. Canada's already got an Evertonian as their Prime Minister. So that's good. And we've got someone who's gone on the record to say they want to defend trans rights. They've gone on the record to say that they want to bring in a wealth tax of some form. Land value tax, probably the best way to do it. He's gone on the record to say he wants to do introduce something akin to a national care service to go alongside the National Health Service. Personal experience of having a dad with dementia. And he just seems really approachable. I don't know if you saw him doing an Ask Me Everything in Cardiff. He just sat down on a chair and so people came along and asked him questions and he answered them. Do you know what? There was someone who called up LBC the other day. Some fucking little petty-minded racist gobshite refuck voter rang up to defend Nigel Farage, right? And he said something that I've heard quite a lot. I'm not a Labour voter, but I quite like Andy Burnham. That's something that no one said about Keir Starmer. So yeah, that's good. Lee Corn, thank you very much for the £10 towards my new mic fund. Thank you. I don't need a new mic. I need a new cable, I think. It might just be the port. Let me know in the chat if it cuts out at all for the rest of the show, because I've put it into a different port, and I think the port of the front might be getting too much lecky or something, and that's why it's messing up. I don't know, but it's not the mic. The mic will get really pouty now. It'll be like, "Oh, I've done wrong. I did nothing wrong." But yeah, I too am hopeful about Burnham. He's done a good job here in Greater Manchester. He has. Look, and he seems like a decent bloke. People going, "Oh, he's a snake. He's a snake." And I'm like, is he? Is he really? Why is he a snake? I mean, for me, that speech he gave when in Anfield on the 20th anniversary of Hillsborough, like, that changed things. He actually went and changed things. He put in place what we needed to have a second Hillsborough inquiry that found 96 cases of unlawful killing put at the door of the police, and that led to the Hillsborough Law and this duty of candour for officials to actually tell the fucking truth when there's an inquiry. Up to this point, they could just lie. You're supposed to tell the truth when you're in a court of law or when you're speaking in Parliament or whatever. But then you swear to tell the truth. Actually, you don't swear to tell the truth in Parliament, do you? You just swear to the king. You swear to tell the truth in a court of law, though. I'm holding judgment on Burnham, but given the news he's set to promote Mahmood to Chancellor and retain the majority of Starmer's advisors, I don't hold that much hope. I was in the same room as Andy Burnham. He was talking to the director of the homeless charity I was volunteering for at the time. Try waggling the cable. Lots of anti-Burnham stuff on social media. Yeah, there's some really, really butthurt people who aren't in Labour, and this kind of annoys me because I'm in Labour. And what was the point of having a fucking election when we all would have voted for Burnham anyway? Because there was no competition. There were no... I mean, Kemi Badenoch said that in Prime Minister's questions this week. She went, kudos to Keir Starmer. There wasn't a single elected MP who could replace him and on the Labour benches. And it was like, yeah, she got a point there. But Burnham can. He's popular. He's popular with Labour voters. He's popular with people who don't vote for Labour. And you might not like it, but democracy is a popularity contest. It just is. I want to have a discussion with Femi about voting reform, because I think this is really interesting. Like, Femi's very much like we need voting reform right away. And when we discussed it on the Sunday Night Social a few weeks ago, and it got a bit heated between Femi and Mike Dix, I think, and it felt like Femi was like, no, it needs to be done now. It needs to be done now before the next election. And his reasoning was that you can't use allowing Burnham to run the course of this electoral cycle, and at the end of this Parliament, running for a general election on which it has proportional representation in the manifesto, and then you've got the mandate to do it. Now, if you don't have the mandate to do something, if it's not specifically in your manifesto and you can't squint and say that it is, for something as major as a huge constitutional change, you do need that mandate from the people, right? And I think this is... So Femi's like, no, he can do it. He's got the majority, he can do it. It's not about just having the majority, because also you need to get it through the House of Lords. Now, the House of Lords will block this. If you put in for PR now, they put a bill together, put loads of government time and effort into making a bill for PR, and then it went to the House of Lords, they'll reject it. They'll throw it back. And here's the thing, right? Normally you can use the Parliament Act of 1911, I think, to overrule the House of Lords and force it through. But if it wasn't, you don't have a mandate for it. If it wasn't in your manifesto, you can't. So that's going to be... And it's one of the reasons why the House of Lords was able to backheel the assisted dying law that was brought in by Ken Leadbeater last year. And they managed to kill that off, the assisted its death, in the House of Lords, somewhat ironically, because it wasn't in the Labour manifesto. It needs to be in the manifesto. But also, Femi goes, and then I get him on the show and we'll have a discussion about this. And you can tell me why I'm wrong about this. But if he says, but if we go for another election, that's first past the post, and that's unfair. So you're using a systematically unfair way of getting what you want, and then you to change the system. And I'm like, well, yeah, but that's the system we've got. If you want to change the system we've got, you got to use the system to change the system, and that's the system. In the same way that you can't go, well, I suppose the Greens, right? Are you going to say they shouldn't run in the next election because it's not democratic enough? But here's the thing as well. A lot of my friends are very much about voter reform, and like it's the most important thing to them. Some of my friends, rejoining the EU is the most important thing to them. Some of my friends obviously get rid of this horrific trans guidance, and the bathroom ban is the most important thing to them. And I'm not saying that we all need to have the same, come together and say that the same thing is the most important thing. Some of my friends are just, Gaza is the most important thing above everything else, right? And you got friends like this. Some people watching this, you'll have your particular thing that you say this needs to be done first, and then everything else follows. But with voter reform, right? One of the things that kind of I always find when I talk about it is I go, what system do you want? Because that's something that I think has parallels with leaving the EU. We left the EU with no plan. And Femi makes a big point of this all the time. We left without a plan. It was either option A, stay in the EU, remain in the EU, which there was a plan for because we already had a contract, a deal, treaties with various countries around Europe and the EU itself. Or we just take a leap into the unknown and we leave. But the method of us leaving, what do we leave? Do we leave just the EU? Do we leave the single market? Do we leave the customs union? Do we leave Erasmus? Do we leave Horizon? Do we leave Euratom, etc., etc., right? And I feel the same way a little bit about the argument for voting reform. I'm like, okay, not voting for the party reform. I mean, reforming the voting system. What do you want? Because it's not good enough to just say, I don't want first past the post. I think it's unfair. Okay, well, what do you want in its place? Because here's the thing: any voting system is unfair. I'll give you some examples, right? If you have a system that's fully proportional, right? You are going to have areas of the country that don't get as much representation, right? And don't get as much sway. For instance, if we had full PR in the House of Lords, the House of Commons, sorry, in the House of Lords. imagine representation in the in the House of Lords. That'd be nice, but yeah, in the House of Commons, right? For instance, a lot more people live in England. So when you're doing something that's nationwide, it's not just devolved to the powers in Wales, Northern Ireland, Scotland, etc. When you've got that stuff that's nationwide, you can, England will hold sway over it. And that's kind of the case at the moment, right? But there are enough Scottish MPs, Welsh MPs, Northern Irish MPs to actually, talk on their thing and get their points across, and they can make a difference a bit more now under first past the post than they might be able to do under a strictly proportional representational system. And then we've got the urban-rural divide. Fewer people live in rural areas. And if we're going to give more MPs or more power to cities based on the people who live there, then rural areas are going to have a lot less power over what needs to be done in their areas because of the numbers, because of the way that numbers. And I'm not saying that this isn't, we shouldn't go to looking at a different system other than first past the post, but we have to be very careful in the way that we do it to weight it in such a way that the good people of Scotland, the good people of Wales, the good people of Northern Ireland get a veto at least to say, no, we don't want to do this. It's going to fuck us over. Because otherwise you have the tyranny of the majority in the same way that we need something where the rural areas of the country get to have a say. Not necessarily more of a say. In America, there's a big problem because the rural areas get an outsized say on what happens in the Senate, because obviously every state gets 2 senators no matter how many people live there. But at the same time, I can kind of understand the logic of, well, why shouldn't Wyoming have the same number of representatives, even though its population is tiny compared with the population of, say, California? Because that has its own needs for the people who live there, which are not the needs of the people in California, and vice versa. And then we have the north-south side of things. More people live in the south. So, they're going to get more of a say. And then the concentration of people in London is insane. Like more people live in fucking Greater London than in Scotland or in Wales. Do you know what I mean? Like that concentration of power in London is crazy. So if you have a strictly proportional system that's just based on people, not where they are in the country, it's not geographical, you will get this lopsided system where the cities, particularly cities in England, particularly cities in the south of England, and particularly London, have way too much sway, right? And that's a system that we kind of have at the moment, although it is kept a little bit in check by the fact that you represent your constituency and you go down to London to represent your constituency rather than the percentage of the overall popular vote that your party gets. I do think there needs to be a constituency link. I like having MPs. I've spoken before about having a few different MPs for each area. Like I have, it's not just City of Durham MP, Mary Foy, who I can talk to. Maybe I can talk to all different MPs about who live in this area. I think that would work out quite well. But the conversation needs to be had. What system do we want? Do we want a D'Hondt system? I would be happy going into this next election if Andy Burnham can just change the dials a little bit to have ranked voting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's it. You put a 1 in the person that you want first and 2 in the person if they don't get elected, and then it is kind of first past the post, but it's not, because at least there's positive votes. It's not just negative votes; it's positive votes for someone. And there was a referendum on this in 2011. The Lib Dems pushed for it when they were in coalition with the Tories. The Tories didn't want it. They didn't put any money into the campaign. And as always with referendums, whichever side spent the most on advertising wins. And I don't think that the current system, the first past the post system, works well at all, especially when it comes to ensuring that the Tories aren't always in power. 2/3 of the last 100 years, the Tories have been in power, 2/3, and Labour have been in power for 1/3. In fact, in my life, Labour have only been in power for 15 years, and I'm 47. So for 32 years of my life, 32 years, the Tories have been in charge. So over half my life, the number of years that the Tories have been in charge in my life since 1979 is double that of Labour. So yeah, I think there's a discussion to be had there, but I think that rushing through legislation in time for the next election, first of all, I don't think it'll work because I think it'll get knocked back by the House of Lords. And secondly, I think that the enemies of democracy and of freedom, i.e. the refuckers, will use it to say these parties are scared. They're scared of us. That's why they want to bring in this. They want to change the electoral system so we can't win, so we can't get power. But there's also another thing here as well about the fact that proportional representation doesn't necessarily keep the fascists out. It doesn't. They have proportional representation in other countries. In Germany, as a good example, the AfD are doing really well in Germany. It's not like some cure-all. It's not some panacea to keep these gobshites out, because they will form coalitions with other parties and drag them off to the right, like what's happened in the Israeli parliament, in the Knesset, the right-wing party over there, the standard right-wing party, the Conservatives, which is run by Benjamin Netanyahu. They have to rely on the votes of absolute fucking religious wingnuts. These religious extremists who are in the parliament. So yeah, I think there's a really interesting discussion to be had there. But like I say, I would like to see ranked voting for the next election. We're going to have 16-year-olds voting, which is good, and a step in the right direction. But for a wholesale change of our voting system, of our democracy, they need a mandate. Labour need a mandate to do that, and I think that would be a wonderful way of something to push for the next general election under Andy Burnham. That, along with closer ties with Europe, getting back into the single market, getting back into the customs union. Put it down on the manifesto. People will vote for it. I'll vote for it. So yeah. Interesting that Refuck are now complaining about the Greater Manchester mayoral election being switched back to second preference PR instead of first past the post, despite them constantly being pro PR. Yeah, but that's the thing. There's different flavours of PR, isn't there? And really, ranked voting is first past the post. It is. It's just a first past the post with greater autonomy of people to be able to vote for what they want rather than what they don't want. Tactical voting doesn't matter in a ranked voting system. You can vote for the party that you want to vote for, number one, and then number two, you can vote for the party that you wouldn't mind getting in. Whether that is, wouldn't mind too much getting in, whether that's the Lib Dems or Labour or whoever. You can vote for them, and they run it off in rounds, and it means that your vote for a third party that might only get 5% of the vote isn't completely wasted. At the moment, it's completely wasted. It's a ridiculous system. I'd rather have a system where over 50% of the voters voted for one particular candidate. Might not have been their first choice, but it was their second choice. As my choice for refuck, it would be my 10th. I wouldn't even put a fucking number next to the refuck candidate. Burnham is relatable to the general population compared with Starmer. He comes across as approachable and likable. He wants to get rid of the Green Book, which keeps government funding in the SE. Let's see. The government funding, the Southeast has got way too much concentration of wealth and power. And thanks for making that point, Lee, because I was going to come to that. I think that when it comes to devolution of power, right? So just getting that power out of Westminster and London and then getting it around the entire country, including Scotland and Wales and Northern Ireland, but the north of the country, the southwest of the country. I think that Andy Burnham has set out his stall straight out the gate here. He said, "This is what I want to do. I want to," and I think that's going to have more of an impact immediately than changing the voting system and having another general election in 2029. This is something he can do immediately and something that is within the boundaries of the Labour manifesto, but also something that he doesn't need to ask the House of Lords permission for him to do. He can just fucking do it. He's the government. How the Daily Mail and the readers are having a hissy fit because Burnham has rightly blamed Thatcher for society's problems. Yeah, he's right. Thatcher was the woman who said there's no such thing as society, and the apologists of Thatcher will say, "Oh, she was taken out of context. She was taken out of context." No, she fucking wasn't. There is this separation. When it comes down to it, we can talk about economics and society and social concerns and morals and all this, but essentially, the left-right split comes down to whether you believe that all the problems in life are caused by individuals not taking responsibility for their own situation, or where you think it's society failing people and not being there to pick them up and to help them on their way. And that's it. It's individualism versus society. Socialism, one might say. And I'm very much on the society side of things. I see deprived areas and there's people committing crimes. I'm like, well, it's because it's a deprived area. You see kids leaving school without any qualifications. They end up in jail. I'm like, it's because they left school with no qualifications. Like, what are they supposed to do? Now they've got a criminal record. They've still got no qualifications. They get out. They're going to get a job. They're going to get a fucking job. Maybe they'll get a job in Timpson's. Maybe, if they're lucky. But this city becomes a revolving door, doesn't it? In and out of prison. See, people who are homeless. It's not their fault they're homeless. They might have mental health problems. They might have addiction problems. But we don't treat them. We don't actually help them. We just leave them in the street and say, "Oh, you shouldn't be there." Let's see what else we've got. Talking about giving 16 and 17-year-olds the votes. Given that Labour are talking about introducing a social media curfew that affects them, will that potentially bite Labour on the backside? Yes, I think it will. I mean, talking to my stepdaughters, they don't really like talking about politics, but I was talking about getting the new PM, and their first question was, is he going to get rid of the ban? And I was like, I almost said what ban, but I knew what ban they were talking about, the social media ban. Yeah. A lot of young people are like, but I was explaining to them, look, if you get a phone, anyone can contact you. Anyone from around the world. Some fucking hairy nonce can pretend to be a kid and talk to you. And this is happening all the time. Thatcher was evil, says Andy. Yeah. But here's the thing, right? She didn't think she was evil. A lot of evil people do evil things and don't think of themselves as evil. You can see them as evil from the outside, but they honestly, they've twisted their own logic in their head so much that they actually think they're doing a good thing. I think Trump's like that. Trump he genuinely doesn't believe he's evil. He just thinks he deserves all this stuff. He deserves it to do a primetime address to the nation where he rails against his loss in 2020. What does it fucking matter anymore? You know, it's not true, but what does it matter? Yeah. This is democracy in the UK as you vote for the political party, not the leader of the political party. Yes, that's true. That's the system that we have. We don't directly elect our leaders. They are chosen by the government, and that's always been the system. You can have a system where the people in the party get to choose between two candidates sometimes, but sometimes that doesn't happen. Sometimes the person who lost that particular leadership competition, they get to be prime minister, like Rishi Sunak. Or you could just have a situation where you had with Brown and Blair, where Brown took over without an election. He was just anointed as a successor because all the MPs wanted him. And that was the deal that he had struck with Tony Blair. 10 years, and then out, you know, like Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise. Elle, did you read Ditto with Dildo by any chance? He'll need to hit the ground running and make positive changes that people actually feel. If he doesn't, who would you have as PM? Question to California Dream in there. I think he is, of all the politicians, the current crop of politicians in the country today, I would not have anyone but Andy Burnham. As a Labour Party member, I would have voted for him. In fact, I did vote for him. Viewers, I voted for him 10 years ago when he ran against that last clown. And I didn't get my wish. But now I finally get my wish. Thank you. But I can't think of anyone else. I can't think of anyone else in the political sphere who I'd rather have as leader of Labour right now. As leader of the country, in fact, than Andy Burnham. So yeah, let him do the fucking job. If he fucks up, I'll be the first to sit here and go, he's fucked up. Like I was with Keir Starmer. I supported Keir Starmer to be leader of Labour. I don't feel particularly betrayed by Starmer. I think he did what he needs to do, which was get Labour elected, get the Tories out of office. Fantastic. Landslide election victory, fucking brilliant. And he did that by appealing to the most amount of constituencies. So it wasn't just concentrated areas of cities that all vote one way. He didn't, it wasn't really important for him to get 80% of the vote in Liverpool Walton. He needed to get at least 35% of the vote in 400 constituencies, which he did. And some rural constituencies went to Labour, some places that were supposed to be in the Red Wall, and then the Tories knocked down the Red Wall with their Brexit. Well, the Red Wall's back, baby. So yeah, Starmer got the results. Yeah, that was his job. His job was to detoxify Labour, get rid of the anti-Semitism, and make Labour electable again. And he did it. The proof is in the pudding. They got elected. That's the game. Sorry, I don't make the rules. But yeah, then he fucked up. And I'm not going to say he didn't. Well, he made some fucking clangers. He stepped on some rakes, and it got to a point where it built up. You could say the winter fuel allowance was a fuck up. The going after people on PIP was a fuck up, and then they had to be, reversed. There was 16 U-turns that he made, and then the biggest, and he went after trans people, big fuck up, and allowing that Supreme Court decision to stand and not actually use a statutory instrument to change the 2010 Equality Act to include trans women in this definition of women. And then the big one was Mandelson. He couldn't come back from that. He could not come back from that. That was it. Mandelson was the kiss of death. And the only reason why it's taken so long to replace him is because there was no one else in Labour who could do this job of winning the next election. Who even stood a snowball's hell in chance. A snowball's hell in chance. What the fuck is wrong with me? A snowball's chance in hell of winning the next election. There isn't a single MP in Labour that I can think of apart from Andy Burnham. He is popular with people who don't vote for Labour. That takes him a long way. That takes him a very, very long way. Obama was popular with people who weren't necessarily racist, who weren't necessarily Democrats, who's popular with independents in America. Clinton was popular with people across the board. Don't like the Democrats, but Clinton's all right. And when I heard that on the radio the other day, some dickhead, bigoted twat ringing up the radio going, "Oh, fucking hate Labour, I hate this, I hate that." And then he said, "Well, Andy Burnham seems all right." When he said Andy Burnham seems all right, cool. And you know what? It might not last. It might have a little honeymoon period, and then it'll fuck up and do something really fucking stupid, and everyone will turn against him. But as things stand, with all the information we have in our possession right now, there is nobody in the Labour Party who can take them into the next election with any hope of winning that election. And I mean, maybe that's great if you're a Green or Lib Dem, but I'll tell you this now, the Greens are not going to win the next election. They can't. They haven't got the money. Sad to say. I'm glad that Zach Polanski's gone out there and he's moved the Overton window a bit to the left. Fantastic. Good job, mate. And I genuinely hope that Andy Burnham has discussions with Green representatives to bring some of their ideas into reality about having a green revolution, solar panels on everyone's roof. But we can't have solar panels on everyone's roof. We can't have solar panels in all of the car parks because we haven't got the grid that can take that kind of power that it needs to go in and out of the grid. Up until a few years ago, all the power that was generated was powered by power stations, and it came, very centralized near its place where it got delivered. You had the power station in Lister Road in Liverpool, right in the center, in Tobruk in Liverpool. You had a fucking power station, right, and it supplied the power to the houses around it. Now you've got to get power from the fucking North Sea or from up in Scotland and get it down to fucking Cornwall. And the further you go along a wire, the more power you lose as it moves. For the electricity gets less and less as it goes through that wire. You need a bloody thick bastard of a wire to stop that drop off becoming insurmountable. So we need to rewire the grid. And this is something that annoys me about the Greens. They don't seem to want to rewire the grid. They're complaining about pylons being put up. And I'm like, you have to, because now we're decentralizing the grid. We've got power coming from miles and miles away, which needs to be able to get down that trunk cables from the north of England, from Scotland down to the south. But also, we've got to have a two-way grid. We've got to be able to produce our own power using solar panels on the roof of our homes and then solar panels when we parked our car at Sainsbury's. And we need that to be able to go two ways. We never had that before. We're going to have to spend billions and billions on updating the grid, which the Greens don't want to do. They're like, well, yeah, but you need to bury the cables because you don't want to see them. Fuck that shit. I don't care. The climate emergency is at such a point where I'm like, no, we need to lead the world on this. We need to lead the world. I hate that argument that people make where they go, oh, but China aren't doing anything. Oh, but what about India? What about India? They're not doing anything. Why should we do anything? So we can lead the world. So we can show that we can take our bills down from 200 quid a month to like 2 quid a month. And we can show that to the world. Here's what we did. Making it all renewables. And we can do that. We can definitely do that. But we need to get the Greens on side, because in some of their areas where the Greens are in charge, they're like, no, I don't want to see any electricity cables. They'll ruin the countryside. I'm like, the countryside's going to get a bit more fucking ruined when it's all on fire, okay? Or underwater. And yeah, we can lead the world. We might not be the biggest country in the world, so fucking what? We led the world in banning CFCs. We led the world on that. Why can't we lead the world on this? The first country to go fucking net zero. And suddenly all our bills come down. Just like the cost of me getting in our family car with the family, 4 of us, driving to Liverpool costs 3 quid. £3. £3 fucking pounds to fill the car up with enough energy to get, because we've got a lucky car. Saz, thank you very much for the £2 super chat. Thank you. Oi, Starmer, how about taking me on a date before you fuck me? Says only Andy Burnham has a Harry Hill dance. Yeah, Andy Burnham is next Prime Minister. Stop crying, get over it, and move forward. Well, yeah, I mean, the people go, not my Prime Minister. I love this. Not my Prime Minister. No, okay, you're not British then. He is, Like Rishi Sunak was our Prime Minister. I fucking hated him, but he was our Prime Minister. Liz Truss was our Prime Minister. I fucking hated that. What's the point of the fucking hashtag saying not my Prime Minister? Well, she is. That's a statement of fact. Do you know what I mean? It's like saying hashtag a picture of your mum and saying, not my mum. She is. What are you talking about? Yeah, but I don't like her. It's like, okay, but she's still your mum. She's still Prime Minister. Not my king. No, he is. King Charles III, he's your king. If you're a member of this fucking country, you might not like him, but he is the king. You know, he's going down in the history books as the king. Look, be writing the history books years from now and go, oh, actually. User Birkenhead Paul 4928 said, "Not my king." So in 2026, so it appears that we're not going to put King Charles III down as the king during that period on his Wikipedia page. SG, sadly, Burnham will get ambushed by world events. So that wasn't a super chat. That was just your member for 18 months. That's fucking awesome. Thank you. You're the best. Thank you, SG. You're the best, even though it wasn't a super chat. But yeah, 18 months, year and a half of listening to me talk about my PM, but not my king. Says he is. I'm sorry, but he is. Just say you don't like him. You can call him a cunt. It's true. He probably is. Call him King Sausage Fingers if you like. But no wonder Camilla liked him. Yeah, there was a lot of people on Instagram saying they didn't vote for Burnham, but at the end of the day, he's our PM. Yeah, the people of... I never voted for Starmer. I never voted for Rishi Sunak. I never voted for Truss. I never voted for any of the prime ministers. Boris Johnson. What's her name? The field woman. Theresa May. I didn't vote for her. I didn't vote for her party. I didn't vote for her directly. She didn't grow up in her constituency. Didn't vote for David Cameron. Didn't vote for Gordon Brown. Didn't vote for Tony Blair. I voted for my local MP. All my life, since I've been able to vote, in 1997 when I turned 18 and I was allowed to vote, and I voted in the 1997 election, I've not voted for any prime minister. Ever. Full stop. So why should I don't really get this, you know? I've never been given the option of voting for a prime minister. But I should now. What? The age of 47? Why I should directly elect the prime minister? But what was the point? I mean, this is the thing. If there had been some, kind of like, well, he's got 81 people supporting him, but Wes Streeting's got 81 MPs supporting him. And then we've got, whoever else put their hat into the ring. And then we're going to have a contest. There's 5 candidates and they're all okay. That's not the case. 350 of the 400 odd Labour MPs voted for Andy Burnham. No one else could even get a nomination. Because you need 80 votes for a nomination. You need 80 votes. Burnham got 350. And do you know what? He got elected in Makerfield, where every single every single ward in the local elections earlier in the year, in May, they all went to fucking refuck. All of them went to refuck. But you're talking about a constituency that voted 66% to leave the EU. And it's about 3/4, something like that. 3/4? No, sorry. 2/3. So about 2/3 voted to leave the EU. It's one of the highest percentages for leaving the EU in the country, in Makerfield. And he won. And he won handsomely. He beat the next fucking candidate by 10,000 votes. If he can do that in Makerfield, then he can make sure that refuck stay the fuck out of Parliament, stay the fuck out of office, stay the fuck out of government for at least the next, hopefully, 10 years, maybe longer. And also, we talk about Starmer's shite comms. Burnham's been doing fucking excellent comms, even though he's not even the leader yet. Oh, he is. What time is it? Give a couple of hours. His comms have been fantastic. It's been absolutely fantastic. He's done little videos where he's talked about music. He's talked about football. He's talked about doing this AMA in Ask Me Anything in Cardiff. It was brilliant. It was really, really good. Really, really good. Can I ask anyone in the chat, has my mic cut out at all since I plugged the USB cable into the back of my computer? So you're all going to have to be my technicians. You're going to have to be my assistants today. The guidance is written by right-wing anti-trans, the very thing the EHRC is designed to protect from. The court result had no impact on having to change the guidance. Yeah. Elle, you're absolutely right. And I can get to fuck. It can all get in the fucking bin. But there is 160 MPs, that's a quarter of the House, saying no, fuck this shit. Over a quarter of the House are like, we don't want this guidance. It's ridiculous. It's going to just cause a fucking misery, which has. Great, Mike. Now, silence been fine since. Looks like it's that pause. Okay, cool. That's good news. I was about to buy a new mic, but thank you, Lee Corn, for putting money in from a new mic. I will spend it on the good of the nation. I'll spend it on crack and whores. Yeah, your mic has been. What was it that? Oh God, yeah. Told you, didn't I? Did I tell you about making a joke about what was it? Being addicted to crack and being a prostitute. I made a joke about being a rent boy and wanking off Latvian sailors for crack. And that joke that I made, that was clearly a fucking joke on a comment on one of Mike Dick's posts, on one of his cartoon posts. I've had my Facebook suspended for a month. I can't earn anything on Facebook for a month. And meanwhile, people are writing the most horrifically racist, sexist, misogynistic, transphobic, homophobic shite, on Facebook and get away with it. Graham, if I give you enough money, can I come to that party? Party? Which party? The Crack and Horse party? Yeah, right. If I'm thinking about this oil drilling situation, oil is needed to make stuff until it can be replaced. The issue is burning the stuff. So long as it's not drilled to burn, I don't see the problem, says Pete. Yeah, but drilling creates a lot of CO2. That's another problem. Yeah, it's another problem. It would be shit quality crack and a very ugly prostitute. Well, as my granddad used to say to me when he took me down the old dock road to go on the game, pick people up, he said, you don't look at the mantelpiece while you're poking the fire. He wasn't tossed off a handsome Latvian fella for a few quid. I mean, exactly, Tommy. That's what I say. I've seen some extremely horrific stuff on Facebook and it never gets banned. And on Facebook, it's a joke. Yeah, I know, it's a joke. And I made a joke. About being addicted to crack and tossing off fucking Latvian sailors. I mean, it was something that was satirical. It was satire. And then you say, it gets picked up by the AI, doesn't it? You promoting the prostitution and drug taking? Oh, joke. Chris, they were bawling about the 11 billion windfall tax. The money made through the licenses could be spent on renewables. Yeah, but I mean, the money spent on licenses, I mean, generally speaking, is fuck all. And we don't make it back because we have to buy this fucking oil, which they refine elsewhere, and then they sell it back to us at a fucking premium. We don't hear much about fracking these days. Well, Labour just put a moratorium on it straight away when they got in. This was one of the first things they did. They got rid of the moratorium on wind farms, onshore wind farms that the Tories have put in place since 2015, and they got rid of that and they put one on fracking and said we're not even going to talk about it. Americans don't do irony and satire. No, they don't. Not me. I'm firmly a gay woman. That is, if the government hasn't legislated to stop me calling myself a woman yet. Well, I don't think they would, but the Labour have been way too meek on all this. They've allowed themselves to be swayed by these so-called gender critical people. The fuck? Can't change your sex. Yeah, okay, we said that. It's fine. That's why we say transgender. Facebook deletes my stuff all the time, appeal it, and they just put it back up. Yeah, but it's not about me wanting to get the comment back up. It's about I was making money out of arranging the gammon. I made $200 last month. I made $200 after outraging the gammon, which is good. I report lots of racist and homophobic stuff to Facebook, but they always nearly almost decide to allow it. I just write to them all the time saying that this is a fake profile. It's a fake profile. Anyway, listen, we need to crack on, even though we've only got 2 out of the 5 super chats that we need in order to release the confetti cannon before 11 o'clock, so you better hurry up. But I'm going to do we've got a bit more time than that. How long have we got? We've got 40 minutes. First of all, we've got the English Council reorganisation. Local Government Secretary Steve Reid has announced restructuring decisions covering 40 county areas. The government intends to replace two-tier county and district arrangements with unitary authorities where, instead of having a parish council and a city council and a county council, district council, bringing it all together. Each new authority will be responsible for principal local services within its area. The total number of English councils covered by the programme will fall from 317 to no more than 173. The changes will affect areas containing more than 20 million residents. The government say the structure will remove duplicated administration and prepare areas for further devolution, which is good. Council representatives have warned that creating more new authorities than originally anticipated could require additional transitional funding. That's okay. I'm always happy to pay money to help people transition. And then we've got Vodafone franchise settlement. We've got Vodafone had settled a High Court claim brought by 62 former franchisees. The claimants allege that the company had unjustly enriched itself by as much as £85 million. The litigation began in 2024 and lasted 19 months without reaching trial. The former shopkeepers allege that Vodafone reduced sales commissions unilaterally. Court documents also described fines for administrative mistakes and pressure to obtain loans or government grants. Some franchisees accumulated personal debt exceeding £100,000. The 62 claimants represented almost 40% of Vodafone's former network of 167 franchisees. And franchisees is a very difficult word to say. I think I'll call them chimpanzees. 167 chimpanzees. The settlement contains no admission of liability, and its financial terms are confidential. But 64 claimants. Wow. That's Vodafone taking a dig. And meanwhile, James Watt is in the news again. This is the founder of Brewdog, the punk rockers who took on the world of big business and big beer and became a big beer, big business thing on the back of some big crowdfunder that they did. And they fucked everyone over who gave money. That people gave money to Brewdog to help it take off, and then it looks like James Watt took all the money and ran. The intellectual property, the brand, British breweries and 11 bars were sold to Tilray for £33 million in March. The transaction left shares held by more than 200,000 crowdfunding investors without anything, no value at all, valueless, worthless. Worthless is different to priceless? Isn't that weird? Well, it kind of means the same thing. Founder James Watt has proposed buying the business back through a new venture called Second Best. Ho hum. He says that 43,000 former investors should support the proposal. 43,000 former investors support the proposal. He's contacted thousands of shareholders and offered them the same proportionate stake in Second Best free of charge. He's trying to, dig himself out of this hole that he's dug himself into. Several recipients have complained to the Information Commissioner's Office because they did not know how Watt obtained their contact details. Watt says the data was obtained lawfully and used after legal advice. He's not publicly explained its source. The Guardian reports that neither Tilray nor Brewdog administrator Alex Partners supplied the information, and the ICO is considering the complaint. No privacy breach has been established as such, but still, OMG. OMG. Two guys sitting in deck chairs. One says, it's nice out. Other guy says, oh, well, I'll get mine out then. Very good, Cuthbert. I like it. I hope Camp Binface wins Clacton by-election, says Western Spot. But the people of Clacton liked Farage, even though he spent more time in America. Yeah. He's a fucking arsehole. He's an absolute fucking arsehole. He really is. Barnsley Council. What's going on in Barnsley? Barnsley Council. Okay. The chief political correspondent at the Times says Starmer allies are already talking about a possible leadership challenge to Burnham later down the line. What? Okay. I think Starmer's done. I don't know. Oh my God, the gammons are kicking off about steam trains being banned from operating on the rail network due to the risk of fire after the Hogwarts Express set fire to a grass embankment. says Chris C. Well, I mean, yeah, I think that in times when it's not raining and we're having these incredibly hot summers caused by the climate change world that we have created, I think that there is a very strong argument for banning steam trains around this time. I mean, banning them in the middle of winter seems a bit daft, but yeah, banning them at the moment, yes, absolutely. I go along with that. I'm sorry, Hogwarts Express. From Fort William to Maleg. In Scotland. Did propeller heads take California out? Don't know. 2 are things I would do for the long-term health of the economy: purge speculative markets and ban private equity acquisitions that destroy companies. Yeah, Graham, I think that, especially about private equity acquisitions that destroy companies, is very, very important. So, I've still got a tiny little bit of coffee left. It's cold, but, still coffee. So, go across to the papers now. We'll start with the Daily Mail. There's a really horrible story on the front cover here about my husband seemed perfect, but for years he'd been drugging me, raping me, and filming it. It's so fucking grim. Men are the fucking worst. Men are the absolute worst. I'll say what I've said before. When there is a case like this, or a case when there's a murderer running around or a rapist running around, then men should be put under curfew. That's it. Make sure men are in at night by 8 o'clock. Something like this where men are drugging their wives and putting it online. Just stop all men from making videos. Then we'll see an end to that very, very, very fucking quickly. Foreign aid farce over Rochdale grooming gang boss. 153 million for country that won't take him back. Ministers last night signed off 135 million in aid for Pakistan, despite the country refusing to take back grooming gang boss Shabir Ahmed. Listen, guys, here's the thing, right? That money would have gone anyway to Pakistan, and you can't hold aid back from the people who need the aid and going to a place that you've said, I'm going to give this aid to you. You can't hold it back to get the government to do something that you want them to do, because doing that is against the law, as Trump found out the first time that he was impeached for doing exactly that. Military aid to Ukraine was going to be withheld until the then president of Ukraine, Vladimir Zelensky, helped out Trump find some dirt on Hunter Biden, who was, by the way, Hunter Biden. He came out all guns blazing this week. I don't know if you've seen the clip of him saying that Trump can fucking go and fuck himself. And then he goes off on one about how he wants to have a fight with Don Jr., a UFC fight with Don Jr., but he won't get back to him. I'd love to see that. And then there's a picture of Claudia Winklepicker, on the front cover of the Daily Mail there, saying, why I'm quitting my new chat show after just one season. Then we've got the Daily Tory graph. England stars stunned by Tuchel's tactics. Yeah, tactics in inverted commas, I think, in this case. And then we've got IMF issues spending warning to Burnham. It says deficit must be cut as PM in waiting considers nationalising Thames water. Yeah, well, if you want to cut the deficits, get rid of the triple lock. Nervous Claudia quits her chat show. God, her teeth are white. God, she's got the whitest teeth. They're proper turkey teeth. Khan handed peerage in Starmer honours list. Victory for pheasant shoots in battle over irrational licensing. Britain to blame for rapists, says Pakistan, in refusal for them to take back this ringleader from Rochdale. Sturgeon stitched up salmon to hide the truth. Ooh, more than 600,000 Britons too fat to work. Fuck off. Fucking. Do you know what? This fucking newspaper, God, it's a piece of shit. It really is a piece of shit. As it puts inverted commas, too fat to work. It's not going to be the case. It's not going to be the case at all. It's not going to be the case. It's too unhealthy for whatever reason. And we live in a society that forces people who are on lower incomes to eat fast food, junk food, ultra-processed food, which makes you fat. We take away people's time. We make sure that every moment of every day is spent fucking working, grinding, doing a 3-hour fucking, doing 3 jobs at once to just try and keep food on the table for the kids. I don't have time to be fucking around making dinner, spending an hour and a half putting some beautiful fucking pasta dish together. No, you're going to throw something in the fucking microwave for 10 minutes and then take it out and give it to the kids, give it to yourself. I fucking hate this. The health complications that cause to that. This is the Daily Telegraph. Oh, they're too fat. That's the problem. This is from the same people, privately educated, of course, who can afford to have their own personal dietitian, their own fitness trainer that they can fuck if they like, I suppose. Don't know how it works. And then Trump aide won $100,000 betting on Trump's speeches. This is on Polymarket, where you're allowed to say, I bet Trump says turkey in this particular speech, and you get that at 100 to 1, and then he says the word turkey. So the people writing the speeches for Trump are betting on what's going to be on the speech in Polymarket, which is co-owned by one of Trump's brood, one of his spawn, one of his children, co-owns Polymarket. Anyway, let's get rid of the Telegraph, bastards. We've got this story here. FIFA must act after glowing aces show banner claiming Falklands. Argy Bargy won the brawl. Number 10, World Cup not ours, Ireland's are. There was a great message from number 10 about this that said when Starmer, was it Starmer? Who was it talking about it? Starmer, yeah, it was an interview with Starmer, and he said we wish both teams the best of luck on Sunday, and especially Spain. I thought that was great. The final insult screams the mirror. I don't really get that, but okay, whatever. Argentinians accused of inciting hatred. Growing calls for FIFA ban. Anger at stars who play here for Premiership clubs. So here's the joke here. We were talking about this yesterday, weren't we? About this stupid banner that they put up claiming the Falkland Islands. You've got these these footballers from Argentina who play in the Premiership, right? And they are paying tax on their earnings, and some of that money is going towards our Navy and Army and Air Force to protect the Falklands from Argentina. Whenever I play trainism, my train is always late because I spend 10 minutes trying to close the doors. I'm being encouraged by the practice nurse to attend a weekly weight loss service for 12 weeks. Okay, good. I mean, they talked about giving people rewards for getting half an hour of exercise each day. Yeah, good. These are the same medical staff who will tell you smoking is bad and then go for a crafty cigarette break afterwards. Yeah, but I mean, just because they're addicted doesn't mean that they're not right when they say cigarettes are bad. Cigarettes are fucking awful. Cigarettes are the worst thing that humans do. They kill more people than war. Kill more people than fucking disease. 6 million people a year die of fucking cigarettes. 400,000 of them are children. Secondhand smoke in developing countries. Grow up in a little one-room shack. Parents both smoke. They can't get away from it. So yeah, no, just the doctors tell you not to smoke, then don't smoke. It was a dirty trick, wasn't it, that the tobacco barons used to play back in the 70s and 80s. They used to get like a doctor to be on TV and smoke on TV. Now I'm a doctor. Never did me no harm. And then we always heard about someone's fucking uncle or their fucking grandfather who lived till they were 117 years old and he smoked 20 a day. I'm like, cool. Bit of survivor bias there. My dad survived the World War II, so no one died, obviously, because he didn't. Is war bad? Is war a bad thing if my dad, is still with us years later? Health service staff may be overweight or smoke or drink, etc. Those things are still bad for you. Should they not say anything? That's what. Yeah, exactly. I think it'd be worse if they were encouraging you to smoke and go, "Yeah, I fucking love this shit." Us beagles love a good cigarette. Yeah, a lot of beagles having cigarettes tested on them. See what new and exciting cancers we could give to beagles. Anyway, final insult. This is the fun comment. And also, Starmer on his legacy, Ukraine and Burnham, exclusive last interview as PM. Keir Starmer and Volodymyr Zelensky yesterday, where Starmer was given a prize. He was given another prize. He was given a prize by by France, and now he's been given a prize by Ukraine. Here we have the Times here. Sadiq Khan raised the House of Lords in Starmer's honours list. Burnham set for left-wing revolt over Mahmoud. Labour divided by next PM's choice of Chancellor. Andy Burnham is facing revolt from his core support on the Labour left against plans to appoint Shabana Mahmood instead of Ed Miliband as Chancellor, and made claims she lacks economic vision and is too divisive. I think she is too divisive. I don't think it's a good move to bring her in. The argument that she doesn't have any experience is a bit daft because none of them do. I mean, until you do it. But Andy Burnham's got no experience of being Prime Minister. Who's he to be Prime Minister? He's got no experience of being Prime Minister. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit of an argument. It's a bit of a daft argument to make. They've only ever been the leader of the opposition. How can they be Prime Minister? When we have a system in which John Major was made Chancellor under Thatcher when he failed his maths test to become a bus conductor, you got to look at that and go, but what's the alternative, friends? What is the alternative? At least in this country, we have a rule where we say to be part of the cabinet, you need to be an MP or a member of the House of Lords. Okay, so you need to be a member of the institution, the Palace of Westminster. Okay, that's the rule. And I'd rather that there wasn't a rule saying you could become part of the cabinet even if you held these high offices of state, even if you weren't elected. I don't like that part of it. But what I do like is the elected bit, right? So you draw from the people who are elected as MPs, right? And it's not a perfect system. Nothing humans ever make is perfect. But it's a better system than what they have in America. Okay? Like, just straight up. In America, they elect a president every 4 years, no matter what. They can't have an early election for president. It's got to be every 4 years, no matter what. So if a president turns out to be a crook or a rapist, or a crooked rapist, you can't get rid of them and have an election and replace him with somebody else. You got to keep him. If the president gets impeached, who takes over? The vice president. And what do? They pardon the president. That's exactly what happened with Nixon and Gerald Ford, who was his vice president, took over. And the first thing he did was to pardon Nixon. But on top of all that, who makes up the cabinet and the executive over in America? Trump's mates. People drawn from Fox News. What? Hey? What? Yeah, this Fox News pundit, I'm going to put him in charge of the military. I'm going to put this fucking clown who can't even fucking, look in the right direction because he's so off his tits on crystal meth all the time. I'm going to put him in charge of the FBI. Not elected. No one voted for Kash Patel. No one voted for Pete Keg's Breath. No one voted for these people. Nobody. The people of Makerfield voted for Andy Burnham. He got in. That's our system. Nobody, absolutely nobody, voted for the people in the cabinet in America. So yeah, I know there is a little bit of a get out where you can elevate someone to the Lords in order to put them in the cabinet, but that's more of a rarity than an established thing. Because at the end of the day, if you are elected, there is a way of getting rid of you. There's a mechanism for that. Whereas if you're not elected, how'd you get rid of Kash Patel? How'd you get rid of Pam Bondi? How'd you get rid of any of these motherfuckers? Unless they decide to step down. Don't have to. You just stay there until the president grows tired of them and says fuck off. And the president gets that, gets that honour. There's no collective responsibility. It's all what the president wants to do. So yeah, there is no perfect system of democracy, but some systems are less perfect than others. I'm sorry, but the Chancellor should be expected to work for the minimum wage for the first few months with no top-ups from the state. Maybe that would clue them up to how shit life is at the moment. Well, Chris, I'm sorry, but just no. Just what? What? So they lose the house and they spend all their time fretting over the bills and whether they can actually afford to keep their kids fed when they're supposed to be running the finances of the country. No. I honestly think that MPs should be paying more. I don't mind paying them more. But don't let them have second jobs. That's it. Someone who doesn't know macroeconomics are more likely to think about budgets in household terms. Short-term money cut, but at macro, if you cut, you raise employment and slow growth. So that's going for. Well, the whole point of the civil service, isn't there? The permanent civil service in Whitehall is that they're supposed to advise ministers on the best course of action. But yeah, a household budget is very different to a national budget. Very, very different indeed. And this is something the Tories never got through their thick, stupid skulls, because they were running about when Gideon Osborne was our Chancellor of the Exchequer. Gideon, privately educated, of course. I mean, his fucking name's Gideon for a start. He was running around creating austerity, because he thought, do you know what we're going to do? We're going to cut all these services, and that'll make us money, based on an error, a Microsoft Excel error, and one report that said that if your debt to GDP ratio goes above debt to spending ratio, or whatever it was, goes beyond a certain point, then your country's economy is going to go tits up, which isn't true. But they used that to create austerity, which ended up killing hundreds of thousands of people in this country. Bastards. Macro's fundamental principles are the opposite of conventional logic. The next chancellor needs to know and understand at least that. Yeah. Nice name, Gideon, like Nathan. Funny how the English don't get the irony. It's not your place to dictate who owns what, or that you get to own something that's not yours. Saxons can't take you anywhere. Well, I mean, the problem is that we have in this country, in Britain, is that over the last 1,000 years, the commons have been taken away, and there is no common land anymore. It's all owned by somebody. Somebody owns that forest. Someone owns that bit of land. It's the National Trust takes care of that, or the English Heritage, or whoever. Some landed fucking lord who was given it. His ancestors were given it in 1066, and they still have it. Every parcel, every fucking centimeter, every centimeter of land in this fucking country is fucking owned by some fucker. And that's a huge problem. It is a huge problem. And then we get these lies about the tragedy of the commons. The reality is that the commons was the way that humanity ran things for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. You had a common area. There was no tragedy about it. That's just made up by capitalists who want to put a fence around it, and a barbed wire fence, electrify the motherfucker, and charge everyone to look at their cows. Chris says they pay closer to £100,000 a year, and cabinet members are paid more. The average wage in the UK is £35,000 a year. I'm sorry, but you can't survive on 100,000. Then you shouldn't be in the job. I disagree. I disagree, Chris, because if we want people to do these jobs, then there are other jobs that they can do in the private sector which pay infinitely more than that. And I don't want Nigel Farage's joining, becoming parliamentarians who are in it for the money. He's in it for the money, but it's not the 100,000 that he gets. It's the rest of it. If we upped MPs' pay to 150,000 or whatever, don't forget there's only 650 MPs. I mean, it's fuck all. I mean, if it was a company, it would be called an SME. Do you know what I mean? It's not a big load of people. But if we paid them a bit more and said no second jobs, you wouldn't get the likes of Nigel Farage running as an MP, because they couldn't live off 150,000 a year or whatever. But yeah, I think you got to get the balance right, because you do want to attract people who have a certain level of knowledge, expertise, etc. And I don't want to price people out and just leave it to what it used to be before MPs started getting paid around 1910 or 1911, where it was just a club for the super wealthy, because they didn't need they didn't need the MP salary. It wasn't important to them. They need to live off it. But also, when you are an MP, don't forget a lot of your other costs go through the fucking roof. You've got to get to London and back, and I know that's paid for, but your childcare isn't necessarily paid for. If you are the primary caregiver for kids, and you've got to get back, and you've got to pay someone to look after them while you're down in Westminster, or while you're away doing constituency services, all that kind of stuff. I mean, it is a difficult work-life balance being an MP. It just is. Not that I'd want to be a fucking MP, but whatever. The median gross annual salary for full-time employees in the UK is 39,039, while the median for all employees, including part-time workers, is 32,890. Cool. Oh well, I suppose I'm dragging that down a little bit because I'll do like a 2.5-hour show and not get much in the way of super chat. So what am I on at the moment? About 2,500 a year. Sorry, 12,500 a year. So I'm bringing that figure down. Bringing that figure down every day. Yeah, probably need to think about switching things up on here, don't I? Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to afford fucking feed myself. Never mind anything else. Anyway, the Times here. Burnham set for left-wing revolt. Falklands and Salars. Number 10 tells Argentina. And then we've got a picture. We had the picture there of the royals, because in case you forgot what they look like. It's a childish and petulant insult to the UK. The king speaks for the nation. A good day to drown a few sorrows. Promoting alcoholism there. I don't think the monarch should really be doing that. Andy Burnham, Prime Minister in 72 hours. Makerfield MP will be crowned Labour leader at midday today. Keir Starmer will address the nation in a final speech from outside 10 Downing Street on Monday morning, and then see the king to resign. What, the king of the North? The World Cup might not be ours, but the Falklands definitely are. British government backs Spain in final for Tuchel Howlers. England versus Argentina Part 2 Rugby Edition. We've got Farage did have security funded by taxpayer after accepting $5 billion gift. Wow. And the new Iron Chancellor, Shabana Mahmood, benefits crackdown is coming, says Isabel Hardman. I really hope it doesn't. Andy Serkis, privately educated, of course. That's why he gets to be in films. He's a lovely guy, but he did go to private school. I've never been able to escape Gollum. Why would you want to? Gollum's awesome. Gollum is an awesome character. We love him. We'll come back to the FT because it's got lots of things in there. Christopher Nolan, privately educated, of course. He gets to make movies. The Odyssey. Director on Taking Risks, Lugging Kit, and his new dog. We've got Hits Don't Lie, Shakira's Greatest Songs. Ranked! Trump's Board of Peace drops ambitious plan to rebuild Gaza. Mayor of London is made peer by Starmer. Teenagers should get meningitis jab on the NHS. It's getting very messy. Diplomatic row after England taunted. That's a fun cover of the Metro. The Independent here. Why Clinton is out. Got one of the biggest jobs in showbiz and quit. World Cup isn't ours, but the Falklands are, says Defiant number 10. I'm glad that there's no pictures of Farage on the front cover of any of the newspapers today. That's making me very happy. Don't have to bring out my Farage, my Farage toad mask. Burnham's number 10 journey begins. China startup moonshot to cut US lead in frontier AI. Starmer business aid Chandler to stay in job as Burnham puts continuity first. Barrister accused of £2 million tax evasion to face retrial. And then we've got Chevron in. He must be able to afford expensive lawyers, eh? Chevron in pipeline talks to help Iraq avoid Hormuz. PricewaterhouseCoopers fined £3 million for audit. Paralysis breakthrough. A person has been registered. I can't read that. Hang on. A person registered movement and feeling has regained. A person has regained movement and feeling. So it's really low res. In his paralyzed hands, in a claimed world first use of a brain implant technology that gives hope to other spinal cord injury sufferers. Fantastic news. Hopes dashed at Ocado. The grocery delivery group's shares have tumbled. Maloney's voting shake-up. Italian legislatures have approved controversial electoral reforms intended to boost Giorgia Meloni's prospects and cut the likelihood of a hung parliament. Uber snaps up food rival. Delivery Hero has agreed to be taken over by the ride-share hailing group. We've got Trump's air war doubted. Trump's ex-defense chief, Mark Esper, has warned that the US will not win its war with strikes, but must strangle Iran's economy. Yeah, good luck with that. And then we've got US hits Brazil with tariffs. The Trump administration slapped 25% tariffs on imports from Brazil in a rift in bilateral relations. There you go. Which looms over the forthcoming elections in the South American state. What else have we got here? We've done all the rest, haven't we? So that was just rounding off with the Financial Times. The FTSE Circus can't escape green screen. He's the master, not just performing but teaching it. He works with us on PS games. Down to earth guy. Yeah, honestly, he seems a really, really lovely guy. Don't get me wrong. It's just I have a little bit of a chip on my shoulder about everyone who gets to do things. Do you get to do cool stuff in life? Yeah. Did you go to private school? Yeah. That makes a change. Mahmood as Chancellor and any resulting benefit crackdown will be proved that Labour, what I'm saying, you face same Labour. I don't think Labour are going to change much. They're going to have better PR. As in, sorry, I've got to wrap up the show. It's past. They've got better PR. Simple as that, my friends. They've got better PR. That's it. That's not proportional representation. Public relations. They're going to have better comms. That's it. Don't expect miracles. Do not. I'm going to keep your feet on the ground. Keep your feet on the ground. Don't expect miracles. Unfortunately, people in England buy the bullshit hook, line, and sinker. It's same failed Westminster with the same failed parties failing to represent us, says Cummy. Well, I mean, Labour have done a lot of shit, but they've done some stuff that I like. I like the workers' rights. I like the renters' rights, even though I don't rent and I don't really work for anyone. I suppose I work for Daddy Google, don't I? But I'm gonna wrap it up there. Get me begging bowl. Get me begging bowl out. Yeah, super chats are open, but yeah, that didn't work, did it? Anyway, so 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock today. 1 o'clock today. I'll be back. So in an hour and a half, I'm gonna get some breakfast and set things up for my chat with Phil Morehouse at 1 o'clock today. We're going to be doing the agenda. We're going to be talking about Andy Burnham as the leader. We're going to be talking about all the shit that's going down. We're going to talk about the pros and cons, the cons and cons of having Shabana Mahmood as our Chancellor, moving over from Home Secretary to Chancellor. Probably isn't the best of ideas, I don't think. But yeah, sorry we didn't get to do the confetti. I'm sorry, Diz. Sorry, Diz. Sorry if you're still there. Diz still in the chat. I can't see Diz's name. Diz, are you there? Are you there? Say something, Diz. Come back to me. Give me what I said. But yeah. Big thanks to Lee Korn and to Saz for the super chats there. It's very kind of you. And like I say, I'll be back at 1 o'clock. So please join me at 1 o'clock for the 1 o'clock show, which is called The Agenda. With me, Graham Hughes, and Phil Morehouse. Before you go, give us a like. We always like a like. Go on, it's the least you can do. Go on, give us a like, please. Please, don't make me beg. Don't make me beg. And yeah, we'll do the show at 1 o'clock. So until then, I'll say thank you so much for watching, and me and Phil can have a bit of a chat about what happens next with Labour and their new leader, Andy Burnham, who will be the leader at 1 o'clock. By the time we get round to it, doing the show at 1 o'clock, he will be the leader of Labour, whether you like it or not. Not my PM. It's not PM yet. PM on Monday. So we've got the weekend. We've got the weekend of the weird situation, a sort of twilight zone of politics where Starmer will not be the leader of the Labour Party, but he will be the Prime Minister. And Andy Burnham will be the leader of the Labour Party, but he won't be the Prime Minister. It's kind of weird. But there you go. Cheers, everyone, for watching. I'll be back in about an hour and a half. And until then, say thanks for watching. Hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.